Cool. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. You are watching the Bourbon and BS podcast, and we are hosted by Jake Sanders and Steve Crane. So we normally do the live before, and then we start in on our audio, but we're accompanied tonight by Rolling Barrel Tours based out of Mount Vernon, Ohio, which is awesome. So they're local, and that's what we're really trying to do here is we've had Ohio Bourbon Times with Scott GK on. We've had Whiskey Business with Dino on, and now we have Rolling Barrel Tours. So we appreciate you guys for being here on. So it's Becca, do you remember that? Becca Buskirk. We are missing her husband, Mark, tonight. We're really sad that he's not here, but he had other business ventures that he had to attend to. And then Nick Walker, which is a good friend of mine that I've met through the bourbon community, and I'm really happy to have him here, and he's the one that kind of funneled this all together, and then we've been coordinating since. So we hope that you enjoy this podcast. We know that we will, because we're talking about whiskey. So, and then we hope that you drink something nice while you're watching this. Tell us what you're sipping on. Tell us what you're smoking, if you are, because it's a wonderful evening, nice night in Central Ohio area, right? Midwest. And for everyone that's outside the country, we hope that you are enjoying yourselves as well. So please share it, please like it, and that's how we grow this thing, build a community, and we always love the interactions between you guys on the live feed. Even if you get into arguments sometimes, it's still great.
That's actually more great. That's what I like to see, actually.
Yeah, so.
I got
you got a lot
more groups now.
You really do.
I got one that's called Pizza Cigar Nation. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that one out.
That sounds like a terrible pairing.
But it also is one that I want to share because I like pizza and I like cigars. So
I mean, I like both, but I don't know that I would ever have the
together.
two within the same house.
You don't eat most of your meals in a cigar shop. So like that's the big thing is that like cigars go with everything.
I guess, yeah.
And like people like I'm literally like I'm working. Like people know I work there, especially that's the funny part. And even like people that aren't regulars. And they'll literally be like, hey, can I bring food in here? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And they come in with like Chipotle or something like that. And then they're like, do you mind if I eat? And then the vice versa side, I'm eating mine and they just lit up a cigar like, oh, does this bother you? I'm like, this is 900 square feet. Like I eat most of my meals in these 900 square feet. I'm good. I'm good. We're all right. Thank you. You're sweet. You're so precious.
I'm sharing too. You ready?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
You good?
Yep, I think so.
All right. Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
I'm gonna try to tighten up and get rid of the trash can. You had her scoot in. You don't have to scoot in that far. You can scoot back a little bit. Actually, just leave that there. You want to scoot back? You're more comfortable. There's so much room for activities.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you guys are watching. That's what. Okay.
Yeah, we want. We get to monitor the comments here.
Yeah.
Are you ready for your cheers?
I am.
All right. That's good.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right.
That's good.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday, everyone. I'm Jake Sanders along with Steve Crane, and we make up the Bourbon and BS podcast, and we appreciate everyone for tuning in to this amazing episode. We are accompanied tonight by Rolling Barrel Tours that are based out of Mount Vernon, Ohio. And we're trying to do this whole community style, bringing people together that are within the bourbon community and the cigar community, because we think that's right, and we're all trying to make big things and do big things, and we think that we all need to be friends within the process. So we have Rolling Barrel Tours tonight, and we're accompanied tonight by Becca Buskirk, which is co-founder.
Yes.
Is that considered the title, if you will?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, okay.
Co-founder.
We'll work with that. And we are missing the other founder, Mark Buskirk, her husband, Becca's husband, and then along with my good friend and their employee. Actually, we learned that he's an employee for a number of their businesses, but yeah. But Nicholas Walker, it's a pleasure to have you guys on tonight, and we hope that you enjoy tonight. So the first things first is, if you never listened to the podcast before, we talk about whiskey, we talk about cigars, and we have a life topic. So tonight we have Four Roses Small Batch Select, which was just released a month and a half or so ago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
And then we're also smoking the Ashton VSG First, which is provided by the Tinderbox at Easton, where Steve and I work. Our second cigar of the evening is provided by Altadis, as always, the main sponsor for us, which is the Monte Cristo Platinum Series. Yeah, I always have to read it. I never pay attention at the very beginning. It's always the first cigar.
We are aware.
It's always the first cigar.
We got it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
And thank you, BS Cigar Company, Brian and Steve. You make an amazing cigar.
I want to throw out real quick. Can you grab that sign? I already got some feedback here. All right. So there you go. So I'm working with these studs on the wall here for the time being until we upgrade the garage. But yeah, thank you, Nook from CLE Cigars. He gave us this badass sign that we posted up in weeks to come. So we're working on the back wall. It is actually no CLE Cigars, no life, and then it's literally more or less our logo. You know.
I like how they made a sign and graffitied it in the process rather than just making a sign and then doing graffiti.
Yeah.
We'll just lump in.
Yeah, might have been cheaper if they just had a guy that just writes on a sign.
And nobody would have been mad if you just sharpied that in.
That's actually, it's pretty sharp, yeah. I like it. I appreciate that.
I love how we keep getting stuff from Nook and they don't sponsor the podcast.
No, he's ready.
He's ready?
Very adamant.
Really?
He's very, very ready. Don't you worry.
Okay. that's more incentive for him to get fired up.
He's on it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited.
He's ready.
And one of our biggest points that we always like to make is that we do have a topic of the evening. So tonight, what is our topic, Steve?
Striking while the iron's hot, which is very relevant to what we're doing here in the interview. And Nook says he's ready. He says, I'm ready. He's listening as you do.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
All right.
And it's the topic, the reason why we chose this is it's so great with the whiskey, and I don't know much about the cigar, but I'm sure Steve will tie it in.
Yeah.
But the fact that Becca and the Rolling Barrel Tours crew, what you guys have done how new is this?
Oh, it's very new.
Yeah, like
very new.
Like 5 months?
I guess we're almost 3 months old now.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
We launched.
Wow.
So the day I reached out to you was like day 2 at my job.
Wow. That's amazing.
So
go get it right there.
Yeah, really.
My boss, she's like, well, what connections do you have in the local bourbon community? And I was like, I know a couple of people.
Two guys in a garage somewhere. I think they're in Columbus.
Well, and you should have seen the look on her face when I first saw it. I was like, well, I might be able to get us on the Bourbon and BS podcast. And she's like, what, Bourbon and BS?
Sounds official, right?
But,
or you had so much doubt. I can
By
see
the
the
way,
doubt in your
don't
face
look up
right now.
Bourbon and Bullshit podcast, because there's another group of guys that do the Bourbon and Bullshit podcast.
There's a BS and Bourbon. There's a Bourbon and Bullshit?
Yes. No B.S. They use the full word. And they're not a completely different podcast.
They're not. They don't have. They don't have purple in their logo, Steve. That's the best part.
Purple's a winner.
It really is.
It's a royal color.
It's a vibrant
royalty right there. Absolutely.
So, just a few things first, Becca. So it was you and your husband Mark.
Right.
Your guys' idea. How has this become what it is? In 3 months, you said. I mean, was this like a years of planning, or was it just thought?
No, it was probably after half a bottle of bourbon when we decided that it would be a good idea.
You're gonna
the best time.
You're feeling great.
I mean, so originally I had met Nick, and with our restaurant backgrounds, we were looking for something maybe like a small bistro, cafe type with really good bourbon and really good wines.
Yeah.
Could not find a location. And so we were at this boat for months. How many places did we look at? And we just kept going. It's like,
Constantly.
And then one night, I don't know, around Christmas time or so, me and my husband, we were drinking. That's what we do.
Yeah, so
you're gonna feel great.
Yeah.
We worked together for months on finding a restaurant. And then Becca just kind of fell off, stopped calling me. And I was like, well, I guess real estate's just not working out right now.
I didn't stop. I stayed in contact.
I mean, subtly.
I would shoot him.
But we went from seeing each other twice a week and viewing a property to I hadn't talked to you in a month, and you're like, hey, you want to grab lunch? And I was like, oh, this is going somewhere.
Was this while you were at OPA?
Yeah, I was still at OPA at the time.
Okay.
I was still bartending over there with Ginty and them.
Yeah.
And we really tried on the restaurant thing, and then, like I said, I hadn't heard from her in a month, and she approached me with lunch and this awesome idea.
It is an awesome idea.
It's just a great idea.
It is a great idea.
So,
Give us the elevator pitch. You know what I mean?
the elevator pitch?
Yeah, as far as like what your business is about. You know what the elevator pitch is?
Yeah, like the 10-second.
60.
Okay.
You're going up some floors.
Yeah.
If you can do it in 10, I'm actually going to be impressed.
Not very high. We don't have elevators that go very high.
It's fair.
We
All right.
got like 1 or 2 floors. I mean, 2
Give me
floors.
the 5 flights of stairs pitch.
There
Okay.
you go.
Is that more?
That's
on your that's on your level there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah. Going up or down?
Right?
It's going to take you a little while. Go
Yeah,
So we
ahead.
expect you to be winded by the end of this.
That's right. Just do some. No, go ahead.
So basically, what we do is we do all-inclusive bourbon trail tours. We also do work with local breweries and even our own distilleries here in Ohio, and put some tours together for those like day trippers.
Yeah.
But then on our bourbon tours, we basically, you guys bring us a group of at least 8 to 12, and we'll put it all together. We ask you a few questions and see what you like, and then we'll bring it back to you, propose it to you, and there you go.
Wow.
You don't have to think about it. It's completely 100% hassle-free.
Really?
So we're driving you there.
Yeah.
We're going to meet up here in Columbus. We're going to pick you up. And then we head on down to Kentucky. We'll go to one of 4 cities. We'll be in Louisville, Bardstown, Frankfort, or Lexington is where we'll stay.
Okay.
And we will hit a multitude of distilleries, local attractions as well, like horse races, going over to Keeneland, even like my old Kentucky homes and museums and different things like that. Just kind of like, it really depends because they're all customized.
Right.
So you bring me your group, we customize it to you.
Yeah.
And you tell me what you'd like to do and where you'd like to go, and I just kind of fill it all in for you.
Put it together.
I put it together.
Wow.
You don't have to worry about your accommodations. I got that covered. All your tours and tastings, got that done. I think a lot of people, they get down there and they don't really know where they're going or what they're doing.
It's like foreign country, right?
A little bit, if you've never been down there before, because I mean, you can Google all day long and you can look at the map and you can do this and you can do that and you can have it right down to the minute.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you don't.
Yeah.
Because there's just things that you don't expect.
There's so much stuff down there.
And
Right,
there's
it's-
so much.
It's super easy to miss things.
And that's what
Yeah.
we help with.
Yeah.
We try to help to make your experience. I mean, what it really is, it's not, I'm not going to drop you out of a distillery and say, hey, see you in an hour, and come pick you back up and take you to the next one.
Yeah, you're not a taxi, right? Yeah.
We are going to create an experience for you. And it's going to be an experience that you're going to remember, you're going to tell your friends about, you're going to brag on. It's going to be great.
One of the things we'll get into a little bit later, but I mean, like, what I kind of gathered from speaking with you before the podcast is that, like, you have a lot of these connections that are continuing to, like, just mature, which is, that's the key to that type of an atmosphere, is that it's not just, like, looking, you know, on a blog, looking on, like, you know, a Bourbon Trail website, go here, check out this restaurant, try this dish. No, it's literally like, hey, I was told to tell you I'm with Rolling Barrel Tours. We're like, oh, that's awesome, come this way. And then it's like, all of a sudden, like, your connections are like they have a friend in the business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I gathered from it. I'm not going to put words on your pamphlet, but I mean, that's literally what I'm getting from it.
We get some perks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because of
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
it's awesome.
It's just a simple matter of consistency and frequency.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you guys, you want to go down, you want to hit a distillery. Sure, they're happy to have you, and they'll do anything they can to accommodate you. But we go down at minimum once a month. You know, if we're
right.
not taking a group down, we go down for company business. We go down, we make these connections, we meet up with our connections. Kind of like Becca likes to say, we date that relationship with that connection for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what we bring to the table that you guys can't on your own.
Well, and the best part about that is that the relationships are going to bring more things along with it.
Absolutely.
And you guys have already put your foot in the door.
That's right.
You know, I mean, it's just, it's an amazing concept.
We talked about it on our podcast before on the cigar side with the Cuba trip. We've got some guys that have been down to Cuba in the last like 2 years, like 15 times. You know what I mean? So it's like the first time one of them went down, it's like they stayed in a hotel, you know, one of the few hotels they could stay in. Then they're like just kind of hanging out, like, oh, we went to the party gift shop, and he was there for 2 weeks, right, with his wife. And so by the 6th day, they start being like, you're back. And then it's like, well, you are, sir. You're not just a tourist. You know what I mean? You're not just a one and done type of person. And then trip after trip after trip, it's like now you have like which Airbnbs to stay at. You know the people that own the restaurants you go to. You know you know, like your driver, literally, like I'm Facebook friends with our driver down there. You know what I mean? It's like that's the development as far as that goes. That I think that you guys are going to offer is that you're literally like you got the connection if you work with your company, which is amazing.
And we can do some really special things too.
Yeah.
Right now we're working on a tour for a group of guys. We're doing they're going to be doing a barrel pick.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be doing a hands-on tour. So it's basically we're calling it the grain to barrel.
Damn.
So,
I'm sorry, but wow, that's freaking awesome.
So yeah, I knew this was going to fire Jacob.
Yeah,
So
like, that's
so
freaking
exciting.
awesome.
These guys
Can't
arrive
stand
the
up
day
right
the
now.
grain arrives. I mean, they're going to grill everything. Yeah. They're going to put it in the cooker. Yeah.
So rather than just
Wow.
picking a barrel, going
Yeah.
down and sampling from whatever stock they roll out for you or whatever,
Right.
we want to take you down on the day the grain shows up to the distillery.
Yeah.
You guys, like we got a group of 3 fellas right here. You guys have been working together for years. You know what I mean? You've become pretty good friends.
Yeah.
6 to 8 years from now, you guys get to roll down again and knock the bung out of your barrel and see what you create.
Wow.
Long term stuff.
And we can't say who this distillery is at this time.
I was just about to ask. I didn't know
Yeah.
if you'd be able to disclose that.
So not at the moment, but sometime in the future maybe.
When is that pack? Like, so you guys do packages, yeah?
Yeah. I have some base packages that we can offer, or we can customize, or we can take something and say, hey, I'm always going to guide you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to come in knowing what you want. I will talk to you. We will learn what you like. Do you like it fast paced? Do you like slow paced? Because that tells me where you want to go.
Yeah.
Or do we want to incorporate a little bit? What are your favorite bourbons? And
So you have like a consulting side of it. It's not literally like you just pick from these packages, or do you have both?
I have a little bit of both.
Yeah. So
But
you
we can mix
have
and
it where you
match
can
them.
like pick like
Yeah.
A, B, C package, and they kind of go up, or they have like several A packages that hit these distilleries or whatever it is. If they want to actually pick them, they can do that. But otherwise, you could call in like just completely ignorant of what the options are, and like, hey, my neighbor went out down the Bourbon Trail, and I heard that you guys do tours, and then you can talk to them and be like, well, what do you want to do? How many days? How many like?
Exactly.
Like a travel agent.
You would do a long.
You're basically a travel agent
Exactly.
for the Bourbon Trail, which is very, very specified.
Yes.
It's awesome.
I mean, we specialize in it. I've been going down to Bourbon Country for over 6 years now.
Yeah.
No.
You said you've been going down with your husband.
My husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we love it down there.
It's amazing.
And we love, not only just the bourbon side of it, but the history side.
Yeah.
That's great about it. Like we, if you want to know about E.H. Taylor, we can send you to 4 distilleries and really encompass all about E.H. Taylor.
Yeah, where do you find it?
Where do we find what?
That's what everyone wants
The
to
whiskey.
know. Everyone wants to know about E.H. Taylor.
I got some
Sadly,
of the
I know you know. Yeah, all right. You can't say it on the air. You can't say it on the air.
They got bottles waiting when
sadly,
they
the
get down
one
there.
thing that we have discovered in cultivating all these connections is you're never that connected.
Yeah.
Nobody gets deals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody has the in on these rare bottles nowadays, and
You don't
that's
get
the beauty of it. is
Deals. But can you get more access, do you think?
Yes.
Sort of. Not on the rare stuff. Not like, hey, I need this. It's just like the stuff you can't find maybe on a shelf.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll let you know when I
right.
have another
I
batch.
trade bottles all the time.
Yeah, there you go.
I got guys who get me stuff down there, and I bring them some stuff from up here that they can't get, like Weller.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get Weller at all in Kentucky for whatever reason. So I pick up Weller Antique and Reserve, take it down.
But it's not a secondary thing. It's not like,
Oh, no.
you're making money. You're like literally like, no, hey, I got you. Yeah, I'm coming down in a month. Like,
Fuel service.
I'll
We shuttle it to you. that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're going to offer back, be like, oh, what can't you get?
No, we're actually kind of like really not too keen on the secondary. So we kind of
talked
like,
about that, yeah.
We, no, like all my friends and everything, if I go down there, like, hey, if you can run across this, can you pick it up for me? And whatever says, whatever that amount is on that receipt is
It's
what
literally
you
like a
give me.
friend picking it up at
It's
the
a
store
friend.
for you.
Yeah.
Hey, I need a
Same
case
exact
of
thing as
beer.
if
We
Jake
pick
was
up
at the
case.
liquor
Exactly.
store on his
Well,
way
yeah,
here.
absolutely, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Our
perfect.
liquor store just happens to be 3 hours south and a little more plentiful.
I'd say.
I love the fact of what you guys are doing because Alicia, my girlfriend, and I, we kind of try to do as much as we possibly can as you and Mark have done, Becca, and where we'll actually purposely get lost in Kentucky between like either on the Bluegrass Parkway or around Frankfurt and stuff like that, and we'll purposely get lost, and you'll find these buildings that may have been like a old brick house at one point, or I mean, it's just amazing history that like no one would see otherwise, and the fact that I think that you guys are doing that and showing people and getting into, I think, is a huge niche right now, like striking while the iron's hot, is amazing. And I know that this will even continue to prosper as you're seeing. You just said, how many tours have you booked in the last like couple days?
Last 24 hours.
Yeah.
I booked 7.
Yeah.
Booked 7, she said.
That's
amazing.
It's crazy.
Well, How Bourbon Times, who, Scott DK was on here before, he says, we're so proud to have Becca write the, quote, Women of Bourbon
I forgot about
column starting in June, so she knows her stuff. So kudos to you. I mean, it's definitely, you're making a name for yourself.
Yeah, we,
awesome.
And the other thing about our company is we're all bourbon stewards. I'm an executive, Nick is a certified. I am currently in the process of certifying Brittany, so she'll be a certified bourbon steward too. And Mark will go on to get his executive as well.
That's amazing.
So everybody who works for my company, even as we have those that continue to join us and as the company expands, will all be bourbon stewards. So we want, we are the tour guides.
Yeah.
So we're going with you on this trip. I mean, I'm making sure that everybody is able to answer questions, whatever it may be. We're also there to help anybody with restaurants. If you can't find your way back to the hotel, you call us, hey, we're going to come get you, whatever it may be.
Find your friends app.
I love saying this because I can't wait for the moment when it actually happens.
Seriously.
It's like, I want to take a group to Louisville. I want them to go out for dinner. I want them to have a few too many and take a wrong turn. And I want them to call me.
Yeah.
Because I am going to be the largest, tallest, skinniest, goofiest looking dude you've ever seen on one of those little green scooters coming to rest.
Yes.
At like 1 in the morning in downtown. I'm going to do it. I'm going to swipe my card and I'm going to ride that weird little scooter all the way to where you are.
Nick is trying to get me.
I want somebody to get lost.
He wants to do the what is it, Segways or whatever it is?
The little green scooters.
Where you stand up on it?
Yeah.
You got 3 guys here that are could highly be likely to get lost.
So you need a rolling barrel, like one of the features on the Rolling Barrels Tour app. Once you guys develop that, is literally like the Find My Friends, like it's something sort of like GPS, like log in and then we can actually find you between this date and this date. So like at 2 a.m. you're like, where are you? I'm at a bar. Okay, I got you. No? All right, no, I see you right now. I'll be there in 5. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things you guys need.
We could literally have a reality show where it's the collaboration between the Bourbon and BS podcast and Rolling Barrel Tours, and we just have cameramen follow us around.
We could definitely do a YouTube series.
In Kentucky.
Yeah, we could.
So you can't smoke in here.
Dustin,
I'm doing it right now. What are you talking about? I'm smoking in here right now. What do you mean I can't smoke in here? I just lit it up. Like, what are you talking about? All right, let's talk about the bourbon before we get too far into it. It's special. Let's get something else. Go ahead.
No, I did want to ask, what's, for those that don't know, what is a bourbon steward?
Good question.
A bourbon steward is, what would be the gist of it? It's almost
I've been
I guess
a chef
like a
for the
wine
last 10
sommelier.
years.
It's similar to being a wine som, but with bourbon.
Yeah.
So we go through, I went through a course that we went through the whole distilling process. Down at Moonshine U, it's my shirt.
Moonshine University.
Yes.
I need to go there.
Great people down there.
Yeah.
Just call Kristen.
Super awesome place.
Yeah, super awesome place. Clay and Colin down there too. They were our instructors. Great guys. So you go down there, so you go through an extensive kind of course. And then at the end, you get to take a fun little exam. And then if you pass, you become a bourbon steward. But in that process, we continue to educate ourselves though. It's not like, okay, we go and we do the class and then, we do.
A lot of hands-on.
It's funny because my marketer goes, because I had a marketing meeting Monday morning, she goes, I've seen your drawer.
Speak to the people on Facebook Live. What did they say?
I said, my marketer said, I've seen your drawer.
Yeah.
We have we have a big credenza, this huge, big drawer that pulls out, and I think it's completely full, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that's like
it's my goal to fill the entire credenza because we live in a digital world. We have no use for file folders anymore.
But
So I think we're just going to turn that into a big old fancy locking.
study
liquor cabinet.
material is what we call it.
Perfect.
Study material.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. It's our training vault.
Yeah,
So-
the files. We call those.
So we do have sensory kits,
Okay.
and we work with those and continue to evolve our bourbon skills, our palate, our nose, and all of that.
Nice.
Just picking up the different. I teach people, and I'll even do like while we're starting this in June, we'll be doing whiskey and bourbon educationals. And like one of our first educationals, we're just going to teach you the basics. We're going to teach you the difference between a high corn, a wheated, and a high rye, and so that you can just almost kind of find what you like to drink. So let's find what your favorite bourbon is first,
Right.
Yeah.
and then we'll move on from there and see what you prefer. I'm a high rye girl.
Right.
I'll sit and drink high rye all day long.
Really?
We recently discovered Brittany, who's never had bourbon before. Her first sip was from a barrel, 130 proof, high rye.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
First sip of any whiskey, any bourbon.
Any bourbon, any whiskey,
Anything.
yes.
And a spice bomb to match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's intense.
I think I sampled out of that barrel for my blend. We proofed it all at 126.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
It's
hers
up
was
there.
somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
120 to 130 range.
Yeah. But it's funny that you say that because when I first went down there with my dad, that's what we went to most of the distilleries at the time. And when we would do the tastings, I would always pick out the rye. And it was funny because that's what I thought was different, and it was almost sweeter in a weird way. But I know that goes completely against what it's supposed to
See,
be.
and I love hearing that.
So it's funny after the fact when I got back, knowing that rye is supposed to have a spice to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a flavor bomb, and then say, when I was down there, not knowing anything, this is what I like because I think it's actually smoother and sweeter. So it's like, but I like hot stuff, I like pepper, so it's like one of those things to me, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's just, and I think it's amazing. I guess my next question is did you bring like an application for me? Because it sounds
It's
freaking
more of an
awesome.
interview, actually. It's
Yeah,
not-
I figured.
Yeah. It's not more of a paper thing. It's
We'll have our people call your people.
I got
There it is.
I got it.
all right. So before we kill that bottle, do you want to like save some of that, or is that going tonight?
It's all right.
All right. There
It's
you go.
all right.
I'm just saying that because my glass is getting there, and I want to talk about it before we all have empty glasses of what we're actually drinking.
Yeah.
Because this is not something that's readily available.
Not in Ohio, not at all. It's only available in 5 states. I don't know the exact states. Obviously, one is Kentucky.
Sure.
But Ohio is not one of them.
This was a connection, Eli Fuhrer, right?
Eli Fuhrer
Eli
brought
Fuhrer
that.
through the cigar shop, actually. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
he reached out to Jake and said, "Hey, I got this. If you're interested."
Yep.
Yeah.
And his friend actually got it at the distillery, so that's kind of cool. And what it is the Four Roses Barrel Select. It's small batch barrel select, sorry. And what's great about it, it is the first continual installment of Four Roses. So you have
Explain that.
the
Yeah.
regular yellow label, they're low end, about 80 proof. And then, that's
after that.
Oh, after that is the small batch, yes. And I believe that it's out of the 10 different recipes, I believe the small batch is a blend of 9. Do you guys? Here's the Psalms right here.
I love it. Yeah. It's like when we have like Ricky Rodriguez, you know what I mean?
I know.
Or
So that's
Alec Rubin.
you've stumped me there. Even through my bourbon stewardship and everything like that, I was never really a Four Roses fan. So when I first got into bourbon, second drink of bourbon I ever had
12 years old.
was the Four Roses.
Small
And
batch.
the small batch.
Small batch?
I love that stuff.
And it was super abrasive to my very young bourbon palate, and I hated it. So I avoided them for a long time.
Pretty
I
much until we went down
started
there.
to get back into. I started to respect them a little bit more with some of the single barrels and things like that I had tasted. And then when we went there is when I actually learned the 10 different mash bill proprietary yeast strains that they intermingle and blend while
Yeah.
producing amazing straight Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah.
they take those straight Kentucky bourbons and blend them into something that no one else can produce in any way.
They do a good job at Four Roses explaining it, but yet you walk out of there and you're like, no, I get it. And then you're like, no,
you
I don't
can't
get
remember it. Like, a mile down the road, I wish I would have stolen his
We got
poster.
these 10 things, this is what this means, this is what this means. And you're like, oh, I'm following this pyramid of
and I think it's the
information.
Key, like A, B, Q, K.
Yeah.
Well, you can't, if you would have just done it in order, that would have made more sense.
Yeah, you're like looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. And
see,
someone's like, explain it to me. You're like, yeah, I got nothing.
I wish I really.
You know what I mean, like, you look at it, it's right there. Like, fucking look at it.
Steve and I went down there, and you guys actually have the enjoyment of going down there because, believe it or not, the whiskey always tastes better at the distillery. And Steve can attest to that.
Yeah, that's it.
Steve can attest to that. Like, it's always, like, Four Roses tastes better at Four Roses Distillery. But obviously it's amazing. This small batch select is, like I said, the fourth installment. A lot of people like to call it the fourth rose. Because on their logo, they have 4 roses. And it's just amazing marketing, I think. It comes in the same bottle that the small batch comes in, which I think is great. And they really released it after the fact that they had the 4 Roses 125th. They just released the 130th that I was able to pick up with my girlfriend that she won at one of the Ohio lotteries, so that was fun. But the small batch select comes in the same exact barrel, and it's the 4th installment. It's 104 proof, so they're reaching that barrel proof and they're finding that niche. They're striking while the iron's hot because right now we all know, and you guys have heard it from me, that the barrel proof, or at least more than 100, is really, really, no pun intended, hot right now. So it's
kind of intended.
maybe. But no, it's great whiskey. On the nose, I popped it last night after we got back from work. And it was really, really interesting. And I told Steve and Becca and Nick this when we came in for the podcast tonight and before the podcast, that it was the most interesting nose that I've had, to where it was something that I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting more of to be honest, a spice bomb, maybe with some sweetness, and this is not that. It's very sweet. It's very approachable at 104 proof. I think it's something for people that are always drinking the 80 proof that Four Roses puts out. If you find this, I would definitely grab it. It's around $55 to $60 depending on where you are, Kentucky or Ohio. I don't know where it is in the other.
You said not Ohio though, right?
Not Ohio, but I'm guessing that's what it's going to be.
If it reaches here.
Yeah. And it's just, I think off the nose, and we're going to go around the table and talk about it, but I think off the nose, it's got an interesting honey note to it. And after I had read kind of the blend of this bottle, I had finally figured out what I was trying to figure out, because there was a weird note in there that I didn't understand. And there's an interesting mint to it.
Mint?
Yeah, on the back end. And because it's a spice, it's mixed in with a spice and a sweetness, and it's almost like a mint. Like if you would take an extract of a mint julep or just a mint leaf, or like Steve does mojitos when you're down in Cuba.
Right.
It's in there, and I truly think it's in there. The 6 blends they're the 6 recipes that are in this bottle are OBSV, which is what all the single barrels are when you go to your regular store, and it's fantastic as just the OBSV, and that's their most popular blend. It's delicate fruit, pear, apricot, spicy, creamy is what they delegated as. OBSK, OBSF, OESV, which my girlfriend Alicia has a barrel proof barrel select. Becca's got a couple of those, I know. Alicia's got that, and that is actually fantastic at barrel proof. OESK and OESF. Now, I know a lot of people are probably wondering, what the hell are these?
It's like looking at a goddamn pyramid.
I know, and it really is a pyramid. For those that don't know, if you go to Four Roses, you see a pyramid.
It's a mouthful, yeah.
And there are 10 different recipes, I believe. Is it 2 different yeast strains and 5 different mash bills?
No.
Or is it? I always get it
2 mash bills, 5 yeast strains.
That's right. So for those that like love Scotch, yeast like doesn't matter. For bourbon, it really does. That they lock this shit up tight.
Well, and that's like everybody thought for so long that mash bills were like this closely guarded secret. But it's not the case. Distillers are more than willing to give you the recipe because you don't have the workhorse to produce it.
Which is?
The yeast.
Right.
People don't realize now, a lot of your bourbon distillers out there right now are going to be using just your basic store-bought distillers, dry whiskey, American whiskey yeast.
Sure.
But with your bigger names, your older names like Four Roses, the companies that are truly trying to trace back to their roots and keep that heritage, you're going to find proprietary yeast strains. Everybody knows the Heaven Hill fire in '96, Hell Hill.
Yeah.
The first thing that they did, as soon as it was safe, they had a fire truck with a ladder basket take them to the top floor of what was left of the distillery, and they fetched the yeast out of the cooler and immediately rushed it over to a liquor store and shoved it in their cooler to keep it alive. Because it's a proprietary strain of yeast.
That's the gold, right? I mean, that's it.
That they spend years and countless amounts of hours keeping alive, and all the scientific terms are leaving my head right now, and I wrote like a paragraph on this today. But they literally conjugate, maybe? Probably.
Conjugate.
Basically, you're
Go
breeding
for
it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
They essentially breed it.
Yeah,
but it's an
you're
asexual
breeding it,
reproducer, so they force the mother strain to constantly reproduce with every batch.
Yeah.
So the mother strain is always existent, and then they just reproduce her through every batch, through every back of setback, and they just keep that yeast going, and that is a large part of their time. It's just,
And that's what makes a sour mash.
absolutely.
Which is what some people don't know, is that a true sour mash is that you keep a small portion of the last batch and you put it into the new batch. That's what a sour mash is.
And this says that there's 3 of the proprietary yeast strands.
3
3 of the 5 in this batch.
In this.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Just in this batch.
Because there's 6.
Yeah, they say
There's
B,
6.
K, and F, so.
Yeah.
And they use both of the mash bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, but it's interesting.
No, it's the same thing. I mean, like, you know, we try to compare a little bit sometimes with the cigar side of it. It's the seed. You know, it goes all the way back to the farming side of it. It's not necessarily the way they ferment it. It's not the way that, you know, they roll the cigars. It all starts with the farming. It starts with the seed that ends up eventually, you know, blending it just like they did as far as the filler, the binder, and the wrapper, and where they get it from and everything else. So it's different, but much the same, is that, you know, everyone goes back to even the Dominican, Honduran, and Nicaraguan, is that it's always going to be typically Cuban seed from a certain year that was brought over to those countries to be planted, and then they cultivate it much the same way. And the seeds are doing that. We talked about it. You'd be interested possibly in this, is that they have this seed strain in Cuba that will not leave the country because it's something that does not reproduce, a seed, tobacco seed. So they basically they generate this in a lab. Once it's used, it's done. It does not repollinate. It doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? They have to keep reproducing it. So if you steal it from Cuba, if they smuggle it out to any of these other countries,
You get
one
one
and
batch,
done.
and that's
One
it.
and done. So it's like, that's not a good way to do business either. It's like, yeah, we got this small batch. All right, cool, and it's gone.
I don't know if small batch cigars work like that.
They do. There are limited releases. Yeah,
See, you're gonna get me hanging out a tinderbox, and it's gonna
tell you guys. If you guys look back,
Listen, man.
yeah, if you look back at the one we had Ricky Rodriguez, he was sitting in the same seat. He's the master blender for CAO cigars, and he was talking about a lot of this stuff. And one of the things he said is that when he does a mass release, like the one big release a year for CAO, he has to be able to produce 700,000 cigars in a matter of like 3 to 5 years. So that if it does, you know, actually hit the market well, that it's not a one and done type thing. He needs to know that there's that tobacco, and then once it does start gaining popularity, then it's like, can we keep doing this? But it's literally, do I have enough tobacco to do close to 1 million cigars? It's substantial.
So I'm originally from Kentucky.
Yeah.
I grew up work farming tobacco.
There you go.
That was the only thing to do in my tiny little town. You went to
Sure.
school and you farmed tobacco, and if you farmed tobacco hard enough, they might let you out of school a couple times.
Sounds like crime.
Yeah, he was Indiana. They had something like that.
But the amount of tobacco to produce 1 million cigars is
Think about that.
wow.
It's a lot.
But the intricacies.
But to have
And
a
they're
commitment to a name, to a brand, to a
Yeah.
exclusive top end product like that, from start to finish, I'm a lot more interested in cigars than I was 5 minutes ago.
Well, that's the business side of it, you know what I mean? Like you don't think about it because, you know, cigarettes, you know, where you were at, it is the true tobacco. I mean, there is an art, there's the farming
Yeah.
side of it, there's that pride in that part.
But it's
And then-
just burley.
Yeah,
Or what we call the burley belt, it's just
Yeah.
the Philip Morris.
and it's like
That's what they
almost
want.
bastardized by, you know, all the additives and
Yeah.
everything else. And so it's like tobacco is almost like just like a part of the filler. You know, it's not like it used to be where it's like, yeah, this is the good tobacco, good cigarettes, and everything else. Burley's used in pipe tobacco as well. But yeah, I mean, this is just tobacco, and it's coming from all different countries, all different seeds, everything. So that's good that you like get that out of that. Is that same thing with the yeast? You lose that yeast, if this is done.
It's over.
Yeah, it's done. You're starting over. Doesn't matter if you like you said the mash bill. Doesn't matter if you have that or not. If you lose that yeast,
Yeah.
done.
Right. So, what do we think about it? What do we think about this? Has anyone tried this? Have you guys tried this before?
I've never had this until you walked in with it.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on the nose. Very fruit, very honey up front.
It has like a weird dusty thing going on. Is that just me?
No.
Dusty.
Like a corn.
With it being
like
as
corn
dark
Give
as
me a
dust.
cigar because she's looking confused.
with it being as dark it is,
I get
is
I get
in
citrus.
comparison. I mean, you
I
can
get
tell it's
citrus.
The citrus.
maybe a little bit older, or at least some older barrels were thrown into the blend. I expected a lot more smoke.
There's a light smoke.
I'm not getting it at all. Maybe it's probably some smoke in a cigar.
Could be.
Maybe.
But
I'm a woman.
No, but yeah, absolutely.
Better
You
palate.
smell more.
Better
Yeah.
palate.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. We haven't had many podcasts where a guest is not smoking. So you have the fresh palate. There's no,
It's true.
There's no
Yeah.
pairing here, you know. So and that does affect it, right? Just like when you eat something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of people don't realize certain. Like I said, I've been a chef
Certain
for the last
bitters
10
will stay
years.
on your tongue for
Yeah.
like 2 weeks.
I know.
Certain
Yeah.
like a really really good like non-shade grown espresso can literally linger on your palate for up to 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he had to get a couple of espressos at Willett's right before we were doing a family reserve tasting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what are you doing?
More espresso, less depresso.
That's a T-shirt.
I like it. That is a t-shirt. So what would you say this citrus note is? Is it orange? Is it some kind of, is it that apricot that's in that OBSV? You think it's coming out of that?
I can't pinpoint it. It's blended so well. I'm actually amazed at the amount of fruit that's coming through with the sweet and the spicy, because you don't ever really get a lot of fruits in bourbon.
So just for fun fact, if you smell yourself, you can reset your senses and you'll smell different things. So like if you smell the inside of your elbow like
I
this,
saw you doing that. Yeah.
it'll actually reset you, and then you can go back and you'll smell new notes.
I'm gonna
good.
try it.
You gotta smell your own though.
For you
not
following
everybody
at home.
I'm gonna try it.
What if you smell bad? Does that matter?
else's. It's still you.
You can't smell you.
There you go. Sometimes you.
Well, if you can, then it's getting real bad.
Yeah. Yeah, don't.
Because technically we're supposed to be immune to our own
So
odors,
smell
so-
here, like your elbow.
So everybody at home now is smelling their elbow.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can just pick up some of your own musk that your nose is always used to, it'll kind of take away from all of that
Interesting.
hot alcohol that you've been inhaling.
Yeah, and I will say that this is one that, like, if you do smell it, like, you will get a burn off
Yeah.
off the nose.
Well, I mean, it's 104 proof, so
Yeah.
you're gonna get
Yeah.
that.
But you know what? The thing is, like you said, it's approachable. It's a very easy 104.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
Yeah.
I would think,
I didn't think it was 104 until you said it.
no. I mean, it's nice.
It's such
It's
an
a nice sipper.
it's such an approachable taste, though. Like
It really is.
like Steve went and got. He was basically reading my mind. He went and got the original small batch, and what is it? I think it's 90 proof. And so we're going from. I actually got like a glass of the 90, and then I've been kind of going back and forth. And it's interesting with certain tastes where the nose on the small batch select has a sweet and spicy note, and so does the small batch, but the more approachable whiskey, I think, taste-wise, is the small batch select.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I get the mint.
Do you?
I got it before you said it.
As soon as you said it, I can't untaste it.
Yeah.
You get it like
outside of your tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely in the finish in the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I picked up about mid-palate. I got some cherry.
That, yeah.
Yeah. Got some cherry there.
Yeah.
Front.
I would almost, you were saying
That's the
apricot,
fruit.
I would lean cherry.
Yeah, that's the fruit.
Okay.
It might be cherry.
I didn't want
It's
to
like
say...
on the finish though, like it's kind of just like lingering for me now that you say
Yeah.
that. Like I get the mint first and then it actually lingers off like a black cherry.
Yeah.
Or like a cherry, like when my family vacations up in Door County, Wisconsin, which is just off of, Green Bay, and then there's Lake Michigan, and cherry is in everything. They have cherry orchards and everything. It's just something that just is a big part of theirs, and that's what it, yeah. Now that you say that, it's definitely part of that. There's, cherry everything.
Yeah.
I will say with this whiskey, at least last night, I'm not getting it right now, but last night when I poured myself the first glass out of the bottle, once it lingers and you let it sit, it turns into this like dark chocolate like cocoa. Like at least for me it
Really?
was.
Last night?
Yeah, like when you stop sipping it and just let it sit, it lingers for a really, really long time. It's got a lot of viscosity. If you look at the glass, like
That might be why you get the dusty then.
maybe.
If
Yeah.
you're-
Wait, why do you
pick up
say that?
Because I've even noticed that even with my background's wine. Like before I went, I still drink a lot of wine.
Yeah.
But bourbon actually became really easy for me because wine is so much more complex, and nosing it and tasting it. When anything that has cocoa or dark chocolate, you'll get kind of like that dry, kind of dusty feel. It's a texture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the starch coming out? You think? Okay.
Well, possibly, maybe.
I don't get it dusty at all.
Oh, no, I don't. But if you're tasting cocoa, that might be when you said that it was dusty.
Yeah.
That might be what you
Cocoa
get it
powder?
from. Yeah,
So
did you ever
you're
get that
comparing
yeah,
to-
did you ever get that cocoa powder?
Is that
and
the
you need
dry, like, are you
Bourbons
talking about
or-
dryness on that?
Yeah, it'd be dry.
Yeah, but for me, like when I first opened the bottle last night, I was getting it off the nose. Like I was getting like when you guys go to the distilleries and you're around when they're just delivering the corn,
in the air.
and it's just in
Yeah.
the air. That's what I was getting, and
Okay.
I had never smelled that on a nose before, and it was really it was potent and overwhelming, really. And I don't smell it now, but I don't know. I
I don't
think
get that, but not on the nose.
getting that cornmeal dust to it. But the fact that I can't get the cherry now, but I'd like to revisit this bottle, like if it lasts.
I honestly, I
After-
think for the sake of a proper review of this bottle, we should put it aside for now.
Yeah,
Turn to the other one.
That would
and
be-
come back to the rare version.
that would be an anomaly because normally they don't last.
Not that I want to stop drinking this ever,
No, it's pretty
Yeah.
good. It's very good.
but I think it would be a good thing to switch to the other one just to kind of compare the two.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that
No, I mean it's amazing.
I think it's an amazing marketing tool. I think it's an amazing thing that Four Roses has done. I love the fact that, like, some people have called it the fourth rose because it's the fourth installment of their series of, and they say that this is going to be an all-around main product for them. So they're going to have the regular
So this
yellow.
is supposed to fall in with the
Yes.
traditional small batch. right?
Exactly, and it's been 12 years.
So technically, from the way I understand it is, because I was reading up on this, I think 2 days ago.
Yeah.
When they're doing the small batch for that more middle of the road kind of flavor, which isn't, yellow label middle of the road.
No.
But a little more approachable.
Just higher proof, better
Yeah.
barrels.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know.
But from what I understand, if it doesn't fit that subtlety
Yeah.
They kick it over to this program.
Really?
And then that's where it finds. So if it's not subtle, if it's a little too bold, for the small batch, it becomes a select.
Interesting. So you think that these are just older barrels, regardless?
I wouldn't go that far. I think there's a couple of barrels in here that are older than what's in there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that's one of the things that they don't really disclose. They disclose the blends.
They're one of those guys that like throw out the 5 to 8 years. Well, that's a long time in bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like big span.
Yeah.
3 years in bourbon is a big deal.
8 to 12 is my range, man. Like
10 is my happy place.
8 to 12, I think that's my happy place.
I'll even drink American whiskey if you let it wait 10 years.
Yeah.
10 Cup released a 10-year about a year ago.
Really?
Amazing.
Interesting.
It's funny, going back to the small batch, it's very muted compared to what we're drinking. Like, there's none of that depth. It's good, but there's no depth as far as that mint.
Flat.
Yeah, like the finish is, and again, it's almost like a muted version of it. And
it's like if you had a Coke and then a Diet Coke.
Well, it's like any tasting.
Now we're talking aspartame. That's a whole different.
Yeah.
In any tasting, when you have to start with the least and go to the highest.
I like doing the whole up and down.
You like it all over the place?
Well, I do because, they say that with cigars as well, is that,
Oh,
you
really?
want to start with like a milder cigar in the morning if you're going to smoke all day type thing, you know what I mean? Because people do that. So you start with a milder one the first thing in the morning, because if you have too much nicotine and, have a full-bodied cigar, it's too much for you. Or if you start with a full body and then go to a mild, you're not going to taste anything. And I think that's something that it kind of, it levels out a little bit, you know what I mean? So again, like I'm not condoning necessarily, you're going to have like 4 drinks of this and then 4 drinks of that necessarily, even though we might tonight, but I'm saying that, it's something that, you have a couple sips of it, and the first one, yes, it's very muted, but your palate starts balancing it back out.
It will.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so cigars are the same way. There are a lot of times where I like to end my day on a little bit, like if I had a full body cigar, I'm going to go back down to like a medium body or a mild, as far as strength, but flavor, I want more flavor. There are cigars, just like whiskeys, that are not, I don't want to say watered down, but they don't have necessarily just the depth, but they don't also have a whole lot of flavor. It's more like it's one note. We talk about, I talk about it a lot, it's like the really predominant corn water flavored whiskeys. There's a lot of them, that are, I don't get as much from Kentucky, but some that are produced elsewhere, and I have no problem with that. What's the one in Dayton where there's like, they talk about how that was like a traditional thing, where it was like, it's very, very traditional the way they do it. And that made sense to me because it's like, yeah, I get it why they probably had more corn. So that's why it probably tastes a lot like, very, very predominantly corn. So that's something that you go from like something like this to something that's going to be very, very much to me like it's just predominantly corn. Like in the front, in the finish, it's just like, it's corn. It's all corn.
You have those high corn mash bills.
Yeah.
Like Ezra 7 is a very high.
The barrel strength or the old?
The barrel strength. So this is 7.
Fucking amazing.
Okay, so that's the thing. See, I don't.
It really is.
It is. I got a bottle of it. Anyway.
You can't find it in Ohio, so it doesn't matter.
So,
I found it once, and I didn't buy more than one barrel.
So
or
the
one
thing
bottle.
About it, I was really surprised that I liked it, but I think the only reason why I liked it is because it was the barrel strength.
Yeah.
So even though it was so high corn, had that big sweetness like in the front palate, and it kind of like hits you there, but it still had that nice Kentucky hug there at the end that kind of warmed you up, almost like a rye.
Right.
But that's the only reason why I like it. I think is because it is barrel strength.
Right, because it has the richness to it.
Yes.
It's got the complexities. It's got the viscosity. That's why, like when we were talking at the very beginning, like if I had to get stranded on an island and I had one bottle or one barrel, it'd be Eagle Rare, because it's just, I think it's my end all be all, because it's my flavor like reset. Like if I stick it up against anything in a blind test, I guarantee 9 times out of 10 I will always pick the Eagle Rare. And I don't know why. It's just
it's good.
It's just freaking amazing. And I think that this is close to that because of the complexities with the spice and the sweetness and the fruitiness. I think that's what Eagle Rare adds to the table, and I think that's what the Fourth Rose, the small batch select, is bringing to the table. Because Four Roses has always been, well, not always, but within the last 10 to 20 years, they've been known for this spice, sweet fruit combination that is now what has grown to know what we love. So, it's really good, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. So
That's a really great bourbon.
It's terrible.
I hate you.
All right.
I would even going to say that if there's any ladies who's having trouble maybe moving up in their proofs and kind of hanging there at the 80 or 90 proofs.
Yeah. It's a great one.
Great one. I think it'd be an easy transition. Yeah.
This is a very approachable, high-proof whiskey.
It is.
It's not even the approachable. I was thinking heat, you know what I mean? Like there was something that didn't go away, but then when you guys started describing it, like the mint and everything else, there actually is a flavor behind that little bit of that in my opinion, that typical or stereotypical like heat as you go up in the proof. And maybe that's just the way that it all goes together, but I mean there is a little bit of that lingering heat as opposed to something that's like we're going back to the small batch here, is that when you actually can have a little bit of that heat sensation but with flavor. For me, that's what I think is approachable about this, because it's not just something that burns. There's a little bit of a sensation, but it's that mint. It's almost like a eucalyptus type thing. You guys keep saying mint, but it's like
I love
that's
it.
a burn.
I love
that's
it.
a burn. But there's a flavor.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's perfect.
Yeah, because there's a flavor to it. It's not just like you swallow. You're like after like oh god.
Oh, it's not like
that's
brushing your
super
teeth
hot.
or
I need water in it
Yeah.
or a cube.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Yeah.
actually a flavor to it.
But besides mint, last night when I was thinking about that, like the mint and one of the things was the eucalyptus. So it's amazing.
I think that's the sensation of mint with a heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's exactly what your sense like. Your whole like nasal cavity even gets involved. Everything.
It's amazing. It's great to see how far you've come, Steve, because it went from giving me shit.
I'm still gonna give you shit. No, I mean that's not going away.
About flavors and getting like most of the time I always have like a weird note of the night, but now Steve coming up with like eucalyptus, I think that's perfect.
I think that was just me listening to you guys. Also, I mean, you guys are definitely nailing a lot of that. Like I said, like the cherry thing, and then Nate said on the thing, "Don't get you started, Jake, on cherry seltzer water." Because
dude,
all right, calm down.
There was
I'm sorry, Nate.
Can I explain this to them?
I'm not gonna stop you, clearly.
Can I put?
And then we're gonna touch on the cigar, and then we can kind of go into everything else.
We had this whiskey where I didn't even look up the review. We kind of like went through it. We went through the history of the bottle. I can't remember what it was. Was it?
I don't know.
It was the Billard. I'm sorry. The Board and Lillard or whatever.
Yeah.
The Wild Turkey.
Oh yeah.
Nate says, "Here we go."
The Wild Shut up. The Wild Turkey and where they brought back that old like 375 milliliter bottle.
I just had some of that.
The Bond and Lillard. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
There it is.
So
Very good.
So
Yeah,
that
it's very good.
so-
and it has a mint finish too.
There you go.
So funny enough, that was the night that Scott GK was on of
He brought it.
Ohio
yeah.
Bourbon
He was
Times.
kind enough to bring it.
That's who I drank it with.
There you go. How many bottles do you have?
Imagine that. You don't want to know. Anyways, so Scott brings that on and we're drinking it, and I don't look anything up because I love Scott and I kind of let him do the whole whiskey spiel, right? And so we're looking up reviews. I'm looking up reviews as he's talking, and one of the notes was like cherry seltzer water, right? Or like had a cherry weird like carbonated note. And I think you guys know as well as I know, when you say something and your mind goes a certain way, of course you taste it
Exactly.
with something. But before he could say anything about that, as I read it, that's what I was missing. And I was like, that's what's in this. Like, so from now on, that's like the joke. But it was so, it's just one of those things that it's fun to mess with.
Becca said cherry, and that's where it all came back to.
Yeah.
Little seltzer in there, you guys on the same page.
Yeah, right?
Right. Sure.
So what about, what is this? All right,
let me give you a quick one. I mean,
Walter, Nick Walter there?
Walker.
Damn it.
Yeah,
You're
Walker.
good.
So this is kind of like for you guys. This is we have like more of a bourbon specialty guest. we spend a lot more time on the bourbon, right? And obviously when we have a cigar one, we spend more time on the cigar. So I'm going to highlight this a little bit. Ashton, it's interesting. Ashton's a very, very popular brand, and it's been around since I want to say the 80s, but this is a Fuente product. So Arturo Fuente makes this cigar for Ashton. Ashton doesn't own, are you familiar with Ashton Walker?
I've smoked them.
Yeah.
Familiar, no.
Okay. So Ashton, when you see the band, I mean, obviously it's a nice band and everything else. These guys were actually based out of Philadelphia. They were retailers, importers, all that stuff, right? So they teamed up with Fuente, for starters, with Ashton. All the Ashtons are produced by Fuente. This is going to be, it's called the Virgin Sun-Grown. That's the VSG, Virgin Sun-Grown. So they call it that, from my understanding, because I've read different things. I've talked to different people about it, but it's an Ecuadorian wrapper that Ecuador, where they grow it, is more cloud covered. So there it's like more of a delicate thing. That's where the Virgin Sun-Grown type comes up. Sun-Grown is literally that. There's, Becca, just so you know, there's cigars that are shade grown, and Connecticut is a big one for that. But they do it all in all these major growing countries where they literally put posts up and they use cheesecloth over the tobacco fields. So imagine like if you're sitting on the beach and you're not under an umbrella, you have your sunscreen or whatever, but your umbrella has more of a little bit of the sun coming through, so it's giving you like that natural sunscreen, as opposed to just being flat out in the sun, everything like that. So it doesn't make the tobacco quite as strong. It makes it sometimes grow a little harder because it's trying to reach that sun, and so you get some bigger leaves, you get all that stuff. And for everyone listening, and for Becca not knowing much about tobacco, and you too, Walker, I mean, when you're looking at strength on a tobacco plant, it's not only like as far as if you have the shade or sun grown, or if there's cloud covering, or if it's predominantly very, very clear, but it's the different primings is what they call it on a tobacco plant. So that the higher up you go on a tobacco plant, the stronger the nicotine or the strength is on those leaves, just simply because of the nutrients. There's other ways that, if you do a stalk cut, you cut that whole plant down, you hang it, in a barn, and all kind of flows towards the end. I mean, it does balance it out a little bit, but again, it's all coming down to those top primings, because now that's at the bottom, and that's just the gravity and everything else pulling that. So this is going to be one of those things that it's all, from my understanding, is all 4 to 5, if not more, 5-year-old tobacco in this. So it's definitely more of like their higher end. It's a little bit higher priced accordingly. But Fuente is going to do that with Ecuadorian wrapper, and then also Dominican filler and binder. And are you familiar with that? Okay. So just so everyone listening, we get this request a lot too, of kind of like a cigar 101. So this is a great opportunity that we can kind of highlight on this. What you see on the outside is the wrapper leaf.
Okay.
There's one, right? So that's going to be from, they blend it with different countries, different seeds, everything we were talking about. But what you see on the outside is the wrapper. That's not necessarily where all the strength comes from. Underneath that is either a binder leaf or sometimes a double binder. They do that not only for integrity, combustibility, but also they'll use double binder, so it also tweaks the flavor there as well. And then everything you see in the middle of the cigar is going to be the filler combination. And that's a lot of times, because that's predominantly where a lot of the tobacco is, and as far as the ratio, that's where you can tweak the strength, also the flavor, but a lot of the strength. You can use literally, I mean, it's all those little tweaks on that, just like a recipe. You were in the restaurant business for a long time. You add a little bit more of this, take a little bit more of this out, and it completely changes the overall product, right? Or it tweaks it a little bit. Same thing, you can take one leaf out and put a different leaf in, it'll tweak it a little bit, or it might have a big impact on it. Sometimes if you take literally all right, so a little strong, or it's a little bit more bitter, so the Ligero, which is towards the top of the plant, I'm gonna take that Ligero, stay on the same plant, if you will, but I'm gonna go down to the Seco, which is gonna be not quite as strong, maybe a little bit more flavorful, and it's gonna give you a little bit of a different experience in the cigar.
So it's a blend.
It's always a blend.
Okay.
Yeah, even if you're like a Dominican Puro, you're gonna have a blend of different things. You typically don't blend with all the same seed.
What does a puro mean for people?
Pure. Just literally pure.
All Dominican.
All Dominican.
Or Nicaraguan or
and I've heard it, yeah, so some people refer to it as if it's all Nook, who, was doing the CLE stuff, the Aroa family is really known for doing it like an all Corojo all Honduran. Corojo is the seed.
Okay.
So all Honduran Corojo cigars. But that's something that's a true Honduran Puro and sometimes even a Corojo Puro. There's different seed strains and there's everything on it. Just very, very much relatable to as far as what you guys deal with the bourbons. This is all back to the farming side of it. But this is something that's going to be, again, the interesting part for me is that Ashton doesn't own any fields. They don't grow any tobacco. They don't have any factories. They're very well known. They are, in my opinion, one of the biggest middleman companies and very successful because they're businessmen. They work with people that are doing it and they buy the lots of what they can with tobacco. They have the blends, they have the branding and everything else. That's where their money is, but they're also very involved in making sure that everything they're doing is very consistent. So it's kind of like sourcing it out.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's
I was
very
waiting for you
similar
to chime in, yeah.
to wine and bourbon, as far as, there's a term for it in wine, and I can't think of what it is. It's a French term, but it basically means...
Bourbon is sourcing.
Yeah, bourbon is
MVP.
sourcing. And technically it's just French for the term source.
Basically,
Okay.
MGP.
But there are wineries out there that do not own a vineyard.
Right,
The same as there are bourbon brands out there that do not own a distillery.
exactly.
So I never realized that with cigars it's the same way, but it makes sense. I mean, hearing you explain it, I mean, it kind of clicks. First of all, like I said, I grew up farming tobacco.
Right.
Everything that you just said was a million miles over my head.
It's different.
Did not learn any of that
It's different.
cutting burley every summer.
Yeah, yeah. So cigars is different. You know, it's a different type of tobacco. It is tobacco, but it's a different type, grown differently.
And they do
and also
age
the
from
product.
time to time, yes?
So yeah, so like I said, this is
Some
all
leaves will be plucked and aged in barrels and
Typically.
things like that.
like ferment.
Yeah.
Like fermenting.
well. So fermenting in the cigar world is different. So a lot of it is just natural heat. There are different techniques, but I mean, really, and we had Ricky Rodriguez. He explained it very well. So what you'll imagine is that there is this process, right? So you grow the tobacco. It's like a 6 to 8 week process. Then you harvest it. Then you barn cure it, if you will. You put it in a barn. There's different techniques that people tweak along the way, but that's essentially it. You grow it, you harvest it, you hang it in a barn, and then you basically ferment it. And a big part of that is all natural. It's not that you're necessarily adding anything to it. What you do is you pile those tobacco leaves in what they call pilons, P-I-L-O-N. And those pilons, classically, were in a circle. That takes a lot longer. So what they do is, and Ricky was explaining this really well, is that they do it just in like almost like a rectangular shape. So you just literally are piling leaves on top of leaves. And these leaves are large.
Yeah.
They're not what you think about as far as like on a tree that your leaves
Yeah, like
fall down.
banana
It's like
tree leaf.
that, yeah, exactly. They're massive. And different seeds and different, you know, as you go up the plant, it gets smaller, right? So I mean, the more exclusive, you know, as far as if you want Lajero, it's not as plentiful as the bottom leaves, because those bottom leaves are trying to reach out to the sun and try to get something, you know what I mean? So the fermentation process typically is that you pile up leaves and just the weight of that and the way that those leaves are chemically, it starts heating up. And so that they have these, imagine like these big meat thermometers going into these pilons, and that's the science or the art behind it, is that they know when to restack the leaves. They let it sit and everything like that. And you walk in there, and those aging rooms, as far as that goes, I've never been in one. I want to, but not because of this. It smelled like the ammonia is overpowering. Much like when you have like the big, you know, mash, and it's like super sour. You walk by, you smell it, and it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to drink that ever. But it's part of the process, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you do. I know a lot of them, you'll like take a little sip of it, but like if they try to bottle that, probably wouldn't sell it
Distiller's
that
beer
well.
is terrible.
Yeah.
And technically speaking, if you add hops, you've almost got a lager.
There you go.
But it is gross.
Yeah. So that's the same thing here. Is that's part of the aging process. They experiment, and over the generations, they figured out when to use this tobacco, and it's that same old thing where it's like you pull a leaf off, and they're literally rolling that up, and they're smoking it.
So
That's the recipe there. Is that you take one leaf and you taste what that tastes like, and then you start sampling it. Like, how can I make this into a dish?
So, like you have a master distiller or master blenders in the distilleries.
Exactly.
Is there a type of master?
Master blender, typically. Yeah.
So the master blender for cigars.
Absolutely. So there's
Okay.
typically going to be like different levels, but there's a master blender, and then that's where You utilize all of that stuff. So this is the step before you actually have the rollers utilizing tobacco.
Okay.
So it's like not only you have the farming side, but it changes hands at different levels. Typically, your farmer is not necessarily rolling the cigar,
Okay.
if you will. You know, so it goes through all these stages and everything else. Is that everyone, the expertise level is really where, you know, like to your point, is that you have a master distiller. Typically, they're not the ones that are putting the labels on the bottle.
Right.
You know, they're working through all the process, but they have a staff or they have helpers that do this stage and this stage and this stage, and then all of a sudden it's in the bottle, and then they taste that and you're like, yep, that's right. You know what I mean? That's what I'm happy with. But just like in the bourbon world, I mean, that's a big part of it, is that if a master distiller tastes the end product and they're not happy with it, does the business side of it rule, or does their clout or their credibility rule? You know what I mean? That's the big thing. It's like, no, well, you said we got all the way here, and now we've got bottles on bottles on bottles, and you're saying not to sell it because it's not right. There's a business side of it too, you know. But with the cigars, as far as that goes, is that when you know you have a good blend, that's the other side of it, is that there's always crops involved. And so like an Ashton VSG, you smoke it. The interesting part is that you have this cigar out for, say, 15, 20 years. If you sit on a cigar, they don't bottle it. So it continues to age in a humidor, right? It's natural product, so it's not going to be sealed up or anything like that. So if you say, well, I liked it better in like 2006 as I do in 2019, you'll never have, in my opinion, have that direct comparison, because you're not smoking the same age tobacco in 2006 as you are in 2019. It's all in your head at this point, because if you say, no, I've got a 2006 Ashton VSG Robusto right now, and I'm smoking in 2019, that tobacco's aged 13 years.
Yeah.
So there's a difference there. But it's all part of the fun, all part of the process and everything like that. But I think Fuente puts a great product out there. I think Ashton knocks it out of the park. What do you guys think of this, the two that are smoking this?
I actually think it's great, and I told you guys when I said I'm a really mild cigar smoker, not that experienced. Super, I guess, approachable is the term that I would use.
Yeah.
And I do, like I said, I was a cigarette smoker, so I have the issue where I reflex inhale from time to time.
Don't want to inhale this one.
No, I have a few times. It's not bothering me.
Yeah.
It's not too much. I like it. I'll probably come see you shortly and buy a box.
Bingo.
There you go.
Well, I think you bring up a good point, though, is that with cigars, much like, you know, Becca was saying about that with, like, you say ladies, I don't think it's very much, you know, either sex. It's literally people that drink the 80 proof stuff, and they're like, oh, I'm not really, like, I tried a barrel proof once, and it kicked my ass. I'm never going to do it again. You're like, well, what was it? Like, I don't remember. You're like, okay, so now we need to actually expand upon that. Much the same way with the cigar industry, is that it's something that it's like, oh, no, I tried a dark cigar once, and it was too much for me. And I'm like, okay, what'd you have? I don't remember, but it had a really dark wrap relief. And it's like, well, so that's where the education starts. That's where the trial and error starts. That's where you say, walking in here, when you, so Walker said to us when we've got the Monte Cristo Platinum, we have the Ashton VSG, he's like, these are kind of mild, right? I mean, because I don't really smoke full cigars. And we're like, not really. But now that you're literally almost done with that VSG, you're almost about to, like, not quite there, but you're getting to that point where you're going to burn. Yeah, it's getting warm. And you're saying how good it is. That's
actually,
flavor
and it's honestly, I'm a Cohiba Blue guy.
Yeah.
That's really
a newer blend,
but
that's mild to medium. Yeah.
Super mild medium. I can do 2 of them back to back, and it's not going to bother me, because that's my issue. If we go on vacation, and I'll get a box of them, and I mean, I'm sitting on the beach with a flask in one hand and a box of cigars in the other. What am I going to do?
You nailed the other side.
You're doing what you're doing right here.
We get a lot of those customers that come in the cigar industry. Again, with bourbon, you're like, I tried a real hot one. It was later in the evening. It's like, well, were you drinking before that? You know, were you drinking? When did you try the barrel proof? And I was like, I don't know. It's later in the night. Like, I was already pretty tipsy and all that stuff. And I was like, all right, so here we go. Try it fresh, you know what I mean? Like, don't take the alcohol, like, experience out of it, if you will, you know? Much like, you know, when people come in and they say, you know, yeah, I was smoking a cigar, it's the greatest cigar I've ever had, and all that stuff. It's like, oh, where did you have it? And you're like, oh, I was in the Bahamas on a beach, and, you know, you know, just after a steak
Oh, that's
dinner and all that stuff,
atmosphere.
and it's like, oh my god, like you just described utopia, and like, yeah, but then I got sick in the morning, I didn't feel well. I was like, how many umbrella drinks did you have the same night? And they're like, oh yeah, you're right, I did drink a lot. I'm like, it was the like it might have combined.
The cigar might have helped you.
Yeah. Yeah,
you were
absolutely.
well on your way.
But chances are, if you didn't smoke a cigar that night, you probably wouldn't have felt like 100% in the morning either. So that's a big part of that. What do you think, Jake? Have you smoked this before?
I haven't smoked the robusto, which is the size that we're doing. I smoked the Spellbound, which is kind of a small. Oh, what's the really small figure?
Enchantment.
The Enchantment.
Yeah.
So, Ashton VSGs, they have special names instead of
all Ashton products.
Yeah, all Ashton products have special names instead of robusto, Corona. It's like either Magnum or Double Magnum. Yeah. Well, the VSG, I've had the Enchantment, which is only about what, like maybe 3 or 4 inches. 4
inches, yeah.
And it's a figurado.
Which explain that.
So a figurado it comes to a point, right, which is where you cut the cap off, is what we did with this cigar, right, and that's the more or less the end that you smoke from, and then it bellows out, and then it comes to another point.
So you cut both ends?
No, you don't have to. Typically, the roller will cut it. So this part, the foot of the cigar, is cut in the factory.
Oh.
But it's pointed and then cut. So it's going to have almost like a little nipple specifically.
Some of them are, like just like a nipple. Yeah,
You're exactly right.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
So it's more of a...
Those are my favorite, actually.
People say that.
Are they now?
Actually,
People really
I've smoked like 4 of those. Thank you for the terminology, because the first time I met you, when I walked into Tinderbox, and I was trying to explain to you what I smoked, that's what I was looking for. But I understand why you couldn't explain to me.
I'll say I see nipple most days.
So which end do you cut? You cut the end that you like?
The one that's closed.
Yeah,
which is also confusing. All right. So there's also a closed foot. So sometimes they'll leave a little bit, instead of cutting it straight like that. They'll have it cut, but then they'll leave extra wrapper, and they'll close that on top of it, as opposed to what you see with the open foot.
Okay.
But it's typically going to be the rounded end, which has a cap on top of it. So this one, like most of them, will have any more triple caps. So they roll a cigar, they pinch it off, and then they cut that off, and then they take little pieces of the tobacco and literally do this with it, right? With vegetable glue, more or less.
Okay.
And so that's where you cut. You cut it typically on the shoulder, which is not all the way down here. You cut it on the shoulder, right? So we're kind of like it kind of rounds around there. And as long as you can see the filler, much like that, you're good. So now you have the ability to bring air all the way through the filler that's bunched up on the middle of that. But the figurado is going to be not necessarily straight up and down like this. This is a Toro, classic Toro size, like a 6x52 or 6x50, something like that. It'll literally, they'll kind of have typically a torpedo, and it'll kind of stay narrow, and then it'll kind of, like he said, bellow out. Is that the term you used?
Yeah.
Bellow out, and then come back in, and then kind of come to a point. It's very beautiful. I mean, the way that they roll that. It takes a higher end roller to do that. Just like if you have a torpedo head on this instead of rounded, it takes a higher end roller to roll a torpedo so that it finishes with more of a pointed head, because sometimes that'll actually change the taste slightly because of the way that the smoke is funneling through that. Does that make sense? So the airflow will actually tighten up a little bit, and it'll actually do that. It's more of an experience thing, but you can't. It's a little bit higher end roller, and typically a torpedo head will add a little bit of value to it as far as cost. Because you're using higher priced rollers to do so.
Yeah. Well, and you got to think, your first draw is 1,000,000 times different than your last draw, because everything that you've burned along the way is going to leave smoke and resin and deposits.
So really, I mean, when it comes down to it comes down to, I mean, there's a lot of that. So there's the actual side of it is that you do get like tar buildup.
Okay.
And that's like a negative term in cigarette smoking. But it's literally, it's as it cools and heats up and cools and heats up, that's the chemical reaction there, and it changes the flavor a little bit. The other aspect is what we were talking about with bourbon, is that first sip compared to your 4th or 5th sip, is a lot hotter. It's a lot more like just wow on your palate.
Oh, it's constantly changing in glass.
Yeah. So the same thing with this is that when you first light up a cigar, that's fresh on your palate. So it's going to attack all of the different, sensory areas of your tongue and your mouth. If you retrohale, which is basically not inhaling but blowing it through your nose, you're going to get all that freshness from it, and your palate adjusts and adapts and kind of mellows out, if you will.
I can do that now, Steve.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
But the
I've
other
been
part
able to
is
do it since we've known each other,
Yeah.
and I just was able to do it a couple weeks ago.
there are some blenders though that will do this, and this is great. That as they bunch the filler before you get to the binder and the wrapper, there's little gaps. So sometimes what they'll do is when they roll it, right, so when they're bunching that, before they roll it in a binder leaf, they have to break off some of that tobacco, right? So they're talented enough that if you have a blend and they break off and the components of it are different levels of tobacco, they can actually place part of the broken off leaves to fill in those gaps in different areas of the rolled cigar, so that when you Don Pepin is of the Garcia family. He's a master blender, and he owns, he's the patriarch of this family.
My father's cigars.
My father's cigars.
If you're aware.
Oh, yeah.
One of the reasons that he's Don Pepin is that he is a lot of pepper bombs when you light them up. Well, part of that technique, and they may or may not admit it to you, but a lot of people will actually put a couple of those leaves that they break off towards the foot of the cigar to fill in those little gaps. It's still long filler, which is the whole length of the cigar, but that's how you do it, and you'll get that in the beginning. You have that little bit of more oomph to it.
A little more robust than the
Yeah,
first few.
yeah. But then so you combine that with your palate adjusting to it, you get that complexity of the blend.
It's like the Kentucky Hug when you first have a
Yeah.
sip, which Steve explained. But
So these are all rolled by hand.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely.
Painstakingly rolled by hand.
A lot of hands touch that product from seed to finish.
And that's why we've really combined the two industries, and because it really shows how much is intertwined in between.
Very similar.
Where it's so similar in the fact that it's just a blessing, I think, that we get to enjoy them together.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they even go together.
Absolutely.
So,
If I ever meet the guy that came up with a whiskey glass that has a slot in it to hold your cigar, I'm gonna kiss him on the mouth.
Make it bigger though.
A little bit.
Like
you're
post
like
kiss.
60 ring gauge.
Like before or after you kiss the guy.
After,
or
I think, is the
female,
time to critique.
Whichever, whoever the creator
It could have been a girl. We don't
Could
know.
have been, yeah. But I'm saying when you do it, make sure it's a bigger slot because of ring gauge, which you can't put a bigger cigar in that slot, and it's just a novelty at that
Sucks.
point.
Because I gave one for Steve, and I don't think he's ever drank out of it.
I have
He probably
twice.
smokes too big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is our time that we're saving right now for our live viewers, and please share it, please like it, appreciate it. So
I think this is a time where
So
you always
we're-
say that when we do the save.
What?
So what I was saying is
Yeah.
no, I think this is time where we did the interview, we did the cigars, we did the bourbon and everything like this. The topic is strike while the iron's hot. Striking while the iron's hot. And I think that's
Yeah.
exactly what you guys have been doing with this. Not only is it a passion, but it's like the bourbon industry is hot. I love the conversation we had earlier before we started recording. Is Becca said that the bourbon industry is not going away.
No, it's not.
There's this whole side talk, in my opinion, that and cigars have gone through it. They go through this peak, like 90s. There was this peak, and then it kind of tailed away, and now all of a sudden it got back up, and it's now the FDA's involved, and so they're worried that some things will go away. Same thing with the bourbon. It's it was hot in the past. It cooled back off. Now it's probably I don't know. You guys might know some of the stats when you're giving these tours that this may be one of the hottest times for bourbon.
I think so.
It absolutely
Hands
is.
down.
Because we kept poor records pre-prohibition,
There you go.
they can't confirm, but they are all willing to say that this is the biggest it has been since the amendment went down.
Which is part of the reason that some of this stuff is not only from a business design, but some of the stuff is actually rare because they didn't see this need. Supply and demand. The demand is off the charts, right?
Yeah, it is. And the tourism industry in bourbon country is phenomenal. They're pouring so much money into it. actually a lot of people don't know is that a lot of our major distilleries in Kentucky actually sent their marketers and their higher ups out to Napa Valley to model bourbon country after Napa. Not only do they want you to come there and tour their facility, buy a couple, bottles of bourbon, a t-shirt, sweatshirt, whatever, they want you to stay.
Right.
So now Kentucky recently passed, they changed their liquor laws a little bit. And now you can have cocktails at the distilleries. Mm-hmm. So not only now, before you tour, like when I was touring distilleries 6 years ago, you walk through, you do your tour, you learn this, you learn that, and then you come back and you do your tasting. And you're done.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
you go visit the gift shop and maybe walk around the grounds a little bit, but that was all. There was really nothing there to keep you. Now they're all adding restaurants.
Exactly.
They have cafes with coffee.
Bed and breakfast.
They have bed and breakfast.
Willet with bed and breakfast.
Yes, Willet is, and they got a brand new restaurant as well.
Yeah.
And they also have a really nice cafe there.
The
Is that back by the pond, right?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes. So
yes.
the upstairs, they have sourced one of the top 3 up-and-coming chefs in the area. And one of the top 3, I don't like to use this term because I think it's been played out and it's dead now, but one of the top 3 mixologists from the area is also coming, and that's who's going to build the food and cocktails for the...
Why don't you like that term?
I think it goes along with connoisseur or even chef being in the industry. It just...
Used to be bartender.
Yeah.
Now it's steward.
No, I mean,
But, I mean, it's one of those key terms that people latch onto, and I firmly hate the fact that nobody likes the term mixologist anymore, because I think there's a drastic difference.
Didn't you just say you didn't like it? The term?
I don't like the term, but I don't like that we don't like the term, is what I'm trying to say.
The new term, the up-and-coming trendy...
Mind fuck.
Hang on.
Double
I need a drink to understand that.
I got weird.
Yeah. He does that. Okay, I work with him.
Gets weird?
But, no,
Say come again?
because I think there's a drastic difference
What the hell did you
between...
just say to me?
Because if you walk up to somebody and they're like, hey, I'm a bartender. Well, you bartend at Prohibition, and he bartends at B-Dubs.
Right.
When it comes to knowledge of beer and spirits, who do you think is going to know more?
Right.
Why do we classify you both in the same boat?
Yeah. And that's typical, you know what I mean? But you got some of those B-dubs, bartenders that they know their shit. They just...
Yeah, absolutely.
They also make a shit ton of money off of it.
They also know that...
like drafts.
Yeah,
they're like, I can go work at
if
that.
I just keep twist and shove it 6 inches, I'll keep banking.
Yeah, but I've got 10, regulars that want me to make some crazy stuff that is very good. You know what I mean? Like, you can go into some B-dubs. I'm not harping on that, but you can go to some that you know the bartender and be like, I'll take an old-fashioned. But if you tell a bourbon person, yeah, man, you got to go check out this B-dubs on this road or whatever here, and, like, they got the killer old-fashions. You're like, you obviously don't know what a good old-fashioned is. Like, you obviously don't know Chet over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So would you love to be able to describe Chet as a mixologist versus a bartender?
I get it.
But it's become a gross term because so many people try to use it to set themselves apart. Same thing with being a chef.
It's a specialized name. It's a
I'm a
specialized
cook. At the end of the day, chef means chief of food.
Yeah.
So if you're the dude in the food area that's in charge, guess what? You're the chef.
Yeah, you're making the menu. You're creating.
You don't have to go to school to be a chef. You don't have to have certifications to be a chef. You just have to be in charge.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
I get it.
Right.
Well, they're using alchemists now. That's the new. That's the bartender to
Alchemist?
mixologist to alchemist.
I've heard that. Term a lot,
What is
actually.
the?
And now you want to go to the alchemy bars. You want the alchemy bartender.
I've heard that term a lot actually because
I'll be honest. I don't want to go to those bars.
A lot of
Because we can't afford to go to those bars. That's why.
No, it's because you're like judged based on what you drink at that point.
I know. They're like, they're just
Oh my gosh.
But no, tourism in Kentucky, and especially the Kentucky Bourbon Show. I mean, it even shows in how many craft distilleries are popping up.
Yeah.
And our craft guys are great, and they get overlooked.
Yeah.
Especially around Bardstown now, right? Like last 2 years, like what, three distilleries have popped up around Bardstown besides Heaven Hill, Willett, and Barton's.
And Maker's Mark, another half hour south.
Right.
Yeah, they're
Down.
technically Bardstown.
So they're
not in Bardstown, but I would.
But they're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suburb.
They're the most southern.
They're
you
the
could call
southern
it.
place.
Yeah.
But we got Preservation now. Great little place.
What about
and
Wilderness
then
Trail? Is
Wilderness Trails in Danville, and they
Danville.
are big and up and
I
coming.
have not experienced those guys yet, but
Yeah.
I do hear good things.
Well,
Yes.
because Fred Minnick is up their ass. So, sorry.
Well,
sorry for our viewers that are huge.
There's a lot of viewers that don't know Fred.
I know.
So,
He's a critic. It's okay.
Then there's, let's see, who else is out there? Lux Row. So Lux Row is going to be your Ezra 7,
Yep.
your Ezra guys, your Ezra
Yep.
Brooks, your Rebel Gal.
Under the Brown Foreman umbrella route, right?
No,
Correct?
No, Lux
No,
is
Lux
not.
Row's
Lux
not
is
no.
Lux Co.
Their own?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lux
They're actually
Row is
still-
owned by Lux Co.
Mhm.
Because we like the David Nicholson. That's
Yeah.
really good.
yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're
Very
Nicholson.
Lux Co does a lot internationally, not so much here. Mostly Lux Row handles all of their here business, but they are actually a larger conglomerate company.
Yeah.
And I hate the term craft distiller
Well,
because
you
craft
hate a lot of
distiller
terms.
is determined by how much whiskey you can house on site.
That's why we get along.
Interesting.
Because fuck the terms, like we are who we are.
Right, and
All right.
I'll second that.
I don't think Lux Row is
Thank you.
Lux Row is pretty large. They're not a craft distillery.
I think they
I don't think they fall underneath craft distillery. Bourbon, Bardstown
I'm
Bourbon
not
Company. Bardstown Bourbon Company may still be.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know.
I know
But they got
Willet.
some great things happening
Willet
there
is
too.
technically a craft distiller,
Really?
but they're
Willet
also
will
one of the
stay.
oldest distillers in Kentucky.
Yeah, but they had that transition, yeah.
So they
Part of that
stopped for
family
a little
history.
bit. They became Kentucky Bottling and
Well,
Distribution.
yeah, they
or
sold
something
out,
like
and the
that.
family, right, bought them back.
Well, no, they never sold out.
Oh, I thought that's
I
what
thought they
sounded
sold
to
the
her.
land.
They
They sold the land.
contracted out. So
Okay.
they weren't
Semantics.
making anything of their own. They weren't printing their name on anything, but they were working for other people.
But they changed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
So
But
Okay.
all of these distilleries, like even like Bardstown Bourbon Company, it's an amazing place. Got a great restaurant there, great people. I mean, I'm telling you, Kentucky, as far as people go, you can't find better people. I mean, everybody's super nice.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I've had
But,
great experiences.
I mean, we walk in, Heaven Hills, like,
I
oh my
believe that.
gosh, we would just walk in, and you're like, oh, look at you.
I've
y'all
never.
brought
My
the
girlfriend's not even that
sunshine.
happy
I'm
to see
just
me when I
like-
got home from that trip.
That might. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't know, but me and Nick went down and did a intense 3-day.
It was deep.
It was deep.
It was,
We did
Eric, explain deep as
we
far
did
as-
23 distilleries in 3 days.
so it's deep
We-
on experience, not alcohol,
Yes.
or both.
well, both.
A little bit of both.
A
All
little
right,
bit
yeah.
of both. We probably increased our alcohol tolerance by what, like 60%?
I would, yeah, at least 60%.
Again, for you, it's
Yeah.
studying, and I appreciate it.
I'm
It was
still
work.
waiting
It
for
was
my
work.
application.
This is
That's
This
what
is
I'm
it.
trying to understand.
Once again, get off
Is
the
that-
semantics. You are being interviewed.
You didn't know
right
that?
now.
Alright, fine.
Nobody told you?
Let me
Please.
roll.
You want to
I
talk
told
about
him like an
Louisville?
hour ago.
I'll let Nick tell you about Louisville. 'cause
Louisville
I took
is-
him there.
Amazing
hmm
on multiple levels. You have so many distilleries so close.
Yeah.
You've got Stitzelweller there, which was Pappy's office, I.W. Harper's office. It's the old Fitzgerald distillery. You know what I mean? There's so much history there in Louisville. But at the same time, you've got Whiskey Row right there.
Old Forester.
Old
Brown
Forester. Basically, all the Brown Foremans have an experience down there.
Right.
Beam has their Urban Still House. You know what I mean? There's Rabbit Hole. There's Angel's Envy. There's Peerless. We sprinted Louisville for an entire day.
Wow.
Because we finally we hit here, we hit here, we hit here, we hit here. We weren't trying to get in on the next tour. We were trying to find out when the next tour was so that we could plan the next 6 tours for our day.
It's amazing.
And we're both long-legged people. And as the professionals that we are, we wanted to test a walking tour in Louisville. I don't recommend it for
Especially
people
not
that
by
don't have
sprinting.
legs as long as mine or
Yeah.
don't like walking. Because
That's
it was
your
work.
segues. That's where the
What did you
segues
do?
come in.
Keep in mind, we were in the car for 4 hours.
Sure.
From, well, I was in the car for 4, we got in 3. Drove there, and
Save me a little bit of that guy though.
It's all
One
left.
more sip of that after this.
and then so we still we have 21,000 steps on our watches.
Yeah, I normally wear a Galaxy watch, and she's got a fossil
I got a
that
Garmin.
ties in with her phone or Garmin.
Garmin.
But yeah, we did about 15 miles on our local day.
Yeah, I mean,
It's amazing.
15 miles.
No,
oh my
mine
gosh.
converts. So 20,000 steps is 12
20,000.
miles.
No.
Your steps,
mean,
but you said you're long-legged, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
it's the math,
Well,
the
it
math
might
might be off.
differ.
1,000 steps is not 15.
No, mine calculates into miles.
Well, you walked. Okay.
Well, when I
Anyway.
smoke, I do walk a lot more than you do. So.
No, we were walking pretty much the same. And I pushed your ass along.
Well, yeah, but every
I was
time
like,
you were
"Let's go."
inside paying the bill, I was outside pacing, smoking a cigarette. So.
Oh, well, okay, maybe he didn't.
That's a good place to be right there.
So anyway, no, we did everything because I
Well,
want. Because
yeah.
the thing is, that's the other thing about our tours. My tour guides are thoroughly trained.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm not saying, okay, that's great. Hop on the bus with these guys.
Even if it's
No.
not on your tour.
It
Say,
is on
you know,
your tour.
We're hitting
You will
Louisville,
know
we're hitting
every-
all the big ones,
Yeah.
we're leaving Peerless out, and you ask me questions about Peerless. Been there, hung out with them, drank their stuff.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Okay. Let me ask you this though. I mean, like, so we're talking about the topic of striking while the iron's hot. Obviously, there's two sides of it when it comes down to what you guys do, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
One is you have to do it if you're going to do that when the iron's hot, when the industry is hot. You still have distilleries popping up.
Yes.
Like, I'm of the opinion that there's a time frame. Like a lot of industries, a lot of businesses, that if you get on the tail end, it's not as cut and dry necessarily as like the stock market or something like that. But if you throw up a distillery and you're getting to that plateau, you know, the bourbon industry is not going anywhere. But at the same time, you just invested into this. Mm-hmm. You just started your distillery. You just started you're like, oh, we're gonna go all in. I got a lot of investors. We're gonna do like so and so's doing a bed and breakfast. We're gonna do a bed and breakfast. We're gonna have our own thing. We're gonna have all. And all of a sudden it slows down, you're fucked. Because you came in too late. Unless you have that longevity, unless you have that uniqueness. But if you're just trying to do what everyone else is doing because the bourbon industry is hot, you're not looking at all the factors. Because you're just saying like, hey, I know like eight of these distilleries and I know these people, I've met them, I'm gonna do it. What I like about what you guys are doing is that you're capitalizing on it, and that my question to you is coming, but you're capitalizing on the freshness, the hotness of this industry that could taper off, that could dip down again a little bit, but also stay relevant. But you're doing it from the tour side. You're not getting it necessarily to the distillery. You're not doing what everyone else is doing. You're looking at it from a different angle. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to this topic, is that not only is there opportunity when something is really growing fast and there's a gamble there on doing that. There's always a gamble getting into business. But what you guys are doing is you looked at an industry that is hot. It's blowing up. It's still increasing. Everyone, like Becca, you were telling me that Buffalo Trace is putting $1.3 billion. $9 billion. $1.9 billion
over the next 9 years.
And then Walker's telling me that they're literally saying like, all right, so what we have is we're gonna have this, but I want 2 of everything. Like that's a gamble on their part. Mm-hmm. You come in and you tell people that, and you're like, let me show you this. Like, we have minimal investment as opposed to them.
Yes.
It's a big investment from you guys. So my question to you is that not only do you see this from a different angle, but how many different tours you specialize out of Columbus, Ohio?
Yes.
Right, as far as the origin.
Or Ohio itself. I mean,
Ohio itself, you'll cater to everyone.
We will cater, but we do our pickups. We do have different pickup points depending on our crowd.
How many of these different tour companies have you crossed paths with?
In Ohio?
Just in general. You're down there 6 years, you said 6 years or so you've been doing this.
There's
how many do you see this?
There's one.
There's one big
really
one in
big
Kentucky.
one.
Mint Julep.
Yes.
Mint Julep.
And they're great people.
They're
I've met
awesome
them.
guys.
Yeah, they're tours. I mean,
And they do great stuff. I'm a little envious of their bus.
and
You can buy a bus.
Slightly bigger than ours.
You can buy a bus. You're 3 months into it. Jesus.
yeah, I know,
Theirs
right?
has got doors on it and stuff. Ours has the sliding door. I wish we had like the school bus driver push handle.
Yeah, that's
But I do love our
You want
van.
to drive at that point. You want to work the handle.
That's all I want.
Becca's like, shut up!
I want to have the power.
Let it.
We do have like some big plans. We're taking on new marketing.
No,
We're also
Before you get into that,
Okay.
like appreciate that part of the angle for me is that you said one other competitor right now, and they're not even based out of
I
Ohio.
wouldn't even
That
say
you know.
they're competitors.
Right, that's
I mean,
what I'm
they're
saying.
really competitors.
So
When
that,
you get into bourbon, I don't call it competition.
Well, it's not the bourbon part. I'm saying, like, that's what I love about this. When I was thinking about this whole topic and having you guys on here, is that I don't know, because I just met you two, and I haven't met your husband yet. You know what I mean? But it's like, do you appreciate that this is something where it's striking while the iron's hot is not always like the opportunity's there, like we're just going to get into it too, because it's just like it's growing and growing and growing.
Oh.
You literally looked at this, and I'm asking you, Becca, to explain how you guys got into this part of it. But when the iron was hot, you said, we're going to do something with it based on your passion and your experience. But the big thing is that we're not going to do what everyone else is doing. We're going to take it from a different angle.
Yes.
And that's the big thing that I think a lot of people don't necessarily, and I myself, I fall victim to it, is that you see all these people succeeding doing something, you're like, I'm going to do that. No, you see what a trend is, you see what business is, where it's growing, and you take it, like, what can I do with this, but not just fall into the crowd? And I think that's what you guys did.
Yes, we did. I mean, originally, like I said before, we was looking at something like more bistro, cafe style, with good bourbons, good wines, kind of, good like farm to table, kind of food choices. Didn't work out. So actually, it was really great for us because now we have way less overhead opening up a tourism business versus a restaurant. So that worked out really great for us. Took me a little while to figure it out, and so there's a lot of passion that plays into it, because like my husband and I, we were discussing it. It was like, it's like we love going out to Kentucky. It's like our favorite place to go. Yeah. I mean, if we're just it's nothing for us to like, it's like, hey, let's just go.
Right.
We'll take a long weekend.
It's amazing.
We'll just go. It's 4 hours away. It was 3 hours away from Columbus.
Right.
So it's great. It's an easy drive, just beautiful country. Yeah. Anything you want to do, you can do down there. I mean, you go into these towns. If you go to Frankfurt on a Friday night, you got bluegrass bands up and down the street. I mean, you don't want to listen to those guys? Go around the corner because there's somebody else playing.
It's the Nashville away from Nashville.
It is. And then in the summer, on the old Capitol lawn, they have these summer concert series.
Yep.
And you go there and you watch that. And what's great about Kentucky, which we don't have here in Ohio, they'll just, you just take your drink and walk on down the street with it.
Yeah.
Or you can go sit in your lawn chair. Now, they'll put it in plastic. Now, I'm fortunate enough that I'm well known enough. Like, I go down there, it's like, hey, come on, put it in glass. And they're just like, hey, just bring it back. And
That's
I
great.
do.
That's great.
And just, oh my gosh, it's so great. I mean, I could go on and on about Kentucky and about the places we visit and the people I know and friendships. And I mean, I know some people call them like contacts and things like that. Yeah, I guess they are, but really, they're my friends. I mean, these people, we have dinners together, we drink together, they invited us into their family. And I think my husband and I was like, we really want to share that.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started coming about. Let's share this. Like, people would see our Facebook posts and they're like, oh my gosh, you guys do so much. Right. You guys are down there all the time. And we're like, well, let's just make it available for people to go. Let's make it easy.
Right.
Let's book your hotel for you. Let's do all your tastings and your reservations, and where do you want to eat at? Do you want to see a horse farm? Do you want to go to my old Kentucky home? Do you want to get on the river and do a river cruise? I mean, we try to put all kinds of events in there so that you're not just doing distilleries, and it's great for couples or groups or whatever.
And you already have experience running businesses.
Yes.
So that's also a key thing. So you're educated on that point where it's like you know what it takes to look at a P&L, to make sure that you're doing things the right way. You don't overextend yourself. You don't just necessarily we want a bus that that Walker can do a school bus handle. You know what I mean? And you have the whereabouts about you to say we're not there yet. We don't have a bus that has a door handle that does this.
No.
We'll get there.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, I think that's an important value too. Is that you go into this, it's like you combine that passion, you combine that business experience, you do all that stuff, and you're bringing it all together.
And we have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we have fun, and I don't know. I just like I said, I don't know how many bottles we had that night. Not bottles of bourbon, bottles of wine. I think it was that night. And we just kind of came up. Actually, that's usually how we end.
They do that.
When you run out of wine.
We do that, don't we?
Yeah.
It turns
They
to
do.
whiskey.
I've run out of wine.
They've
like,
invited me to the
shit.
house for a bourbon while they're drinking wine, and I just feel awkward.
And then we switch over to
And then next thing you know, they're drinking bourbon, and now I'm drinking the leftover of their wine from the bottle, and I'm like, how did we get here? I gotta go home.
What day is this?
Amazing.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's just wonderful down there,
Yeah.
and I think everybody should experience it in some way. Just getting down there and just experiencing the Southern hospitality in
Yeah.
Bourbon country, and everywhere you go, and don't skip over the craft distillers because you'll learn so much more from them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're hands-on, they're there, they love to talk to you. They got great bourbon too. And
That's what I appreciated when I
You know.
first went down there. Like it's amazing, and I think it's great that we have you guys on to explain this a little more, because our viewers and our listeners have listened enough about me talk about it, and to hear it from a different perspective and to someone that is actually putting it towards a passion and putting it towards a business perspective, they get to hear it from that level. And I think that it signifies the fact that this is something that someone that is in Ohio, which is a lot of our listeners, but we are worldwide, that they should experience. And the fact that, you know, Mark and Becca go down and that you guys fell in love with this and took the effort and saw the opportunity to do what you love to do, that's what's even more amazing about it. And I can appreciate that more. And I think in talking on the whole fact of striking while the iron's hot is that not only are you guys putting forth the effort towards the whole bourbon community and the whiskey community, but the fact that you are diving into this whole concept that I've tried to dive forward in the podcast recently, but authenticity is coming back again. And some people don't relate that to what whiskey is doing and what bourbon whiskey is doing in America. And people are coming back to cigars, the old ways of doing things, the more naturalistic way of doing things, and having this authenticity of pure, honest, and passionate acts. And that's what you guys have done. And that's what I think brought Alicia, my girlfriend, and I towards Kentucky. And that's what brought us towards the whole realm of the spectrum, really. And it's just amazing to hear what you guys are doing. It's great to hear the fact that it's been 3 months, right, since it's really 4.
like we've really put it out there.
Right.
We're already going through our 2.0 version, so we've actually had to like pull our website as that's getting revamped.
Right.
We're still booking.
Right.
We are still taking appointments, and that's another thing that we do, I should add, is that we are a face-to-face company.
Right.
We don't want you to try to go pick out your package or try to put something together online. We want you to call us, talk to us, sit down with us.
Yeah.
Let's go over your options. Let's look at some pictures. Let me show you some things. Let me share you some stories with you. Let me tell you about the people at the distilleries, and
Right.
and so that we can put you in, like, you know, especially if it's like a bucket list kind of thing, or it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Let's make it special. Let's make it something you're never going to forget.
And that's the authenticity of it.
Yeah.
And it's becoming the old norm, if you will, and it's coming back. And I love, because we've talked enough about on the podcast that even, you know, you didn't know I was 24 until I said it.
I know.
But the fact that I'm an old soul, so it's like, and that's just because my parents were older. So the authenticity is coming around again, and the fact that you guys are willing to sit down with people, the fact that you're willing to do all the things that are necessary, and it's not just nonchalant, right? It's not just emails. Like it's
Absolutely.
it's something spectacular, and it has the passion behind it, and that's what the not only the whiskey and the bourbon that comes out of Kentucky, but the history. The fact that you guys mentioned that are intertwined within the tours, that's the key, because it's not just about the whiskey, it's not about the bourbon, it's about the lifestyle that has transcended us to what we're doing now, and it literally has taken over the world.
Well, I think a lot of it does. I mean, part of the bourbon craze, I will say, to build off of that, I'm of the opinion that that's the your generation, Jake. You bring up your age a lot. That's the generation we're in right now. So like the whole organic craze, the whole getting away from the mass-produced stuff. That's where I think that it doesn't get talked about enough. Is that bourbon, cigars, any of these handcrafted things that are coming from the farms to. We were at the Eddie Russell tasting, you know what I mean? That was one question that I had that no one else asked, because I don't think people realize it all the time. It's like, no one asked, it's like, so talk to me about where you're getting the grains. You know, talk to me from the beginning.
Absolutely.
It's this whole thing is that's, people don't necessarily, they want the Amazon, they want the Walmart, they want all that stuff, but they still want this, like, making sure that I'm going to buy it from Amazon, but it's going to be organic. It's going to be something that is not just this mass-produced product that God knows what. I want to know a little bit about it. Made in the USA, made wherever. Like, you want to know a little bit more about it. I think there's this, that's more of the shift that the bourbon craze and the cigar part of it, the boom right now, and what you guys are doing, it's like, that's part of it. The mentality of the upcoming generations, that's important to them.
Yeah.
Previous generations, we went through a period there of 20, 30 years or so, in my opinion, that no one fucking cared where it came from.
Convenience.
You know what I mean? The fact that McDonald's had to say, now our burgers are 100% beef, everyone's like, oh, great. Other people were like, what the fuck was it before?
Yeah. What else was in it?
I've been eating it for 15 years.
Well,
God damn
this
it.
is not a bragging right poster.
All white
This
chicken
joke
nuggets.
didn't age well.
All white chicken nuggets? I remember when they were great. They were delicious.
Yeah.
But I also was 12 years old and I just wanted all the sweet and sour sauce. Like, I think that that's what my point is that the generations coming up, there's more importance put on where it's from.
No, because that is
the personal contact.
That is the best way to put it. When I was a kid, my mom didn't care where you got it. She just wanted to know how quick she could get it to shut me up so she could get back to what she was doing.
Fucking microwaves.
Absolutely.
Same shit. It's like, oh, I can slave it on a stove for 2 hours, or I can throw something in the microwave for
not
9
just the
minutes.
microwave? Do you remember the microwave hutch?
I don't.
When your kitchen
I'm
furniture
older.
was literally dictated on how big your microwave was, because you had to buy that hutch to put your microwave on. We removed the china cabinet and put the microwave hutch.
It's like TV consoles, you know?
Yeah.
What I mean? It's like, this is now a piece of furniture. Now it's like, where can I mount it so it's out of the way? Absolutely. I think there's a generational thing that is coming back that you're saying, Jake.
We're getting
like
a little more old school, and I love it.
Yeah, it's absolutely. There's an appreciation from where it's coming from. There's like the you're not desensitized anymore.
Yeah.
It's not a lack of caring. There's an empathy there. There's something that you're actually trying to relate to where this stuff's coming from. And I think that's something also that you guys may or may not realize you're doing, is that you're putting that personal touch on it. You know, when was the last time you actually ordered something online, or you had like Uber is a big thing, where it's like people have a bad experience with Uber. Try having like a conversation with someone from Uber, even through a chat. You can't get a hold of them because everything's supposed to take care of itself. There's not something there where it's like, I have a person to talk to. From the beginning, you guys doing these tours off of this very hot industry, it's like from start to finish, again, from grain to the bottle or from seed to the cigar, you have this contact, you have content, you have this feeling of like, I feel comfortable with it. And then you have the experience you guys give. I love it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And that's what we were really trying to go for. I mean, we really wanted to have something special and unique.
Yeah.
And we didn't want, like, anybody can pick you up in a van or a bus and drop you off, pick you back up, take
Sounds
you to the
super
next
creepy.
one. Yeah. Then
Where are you going?
again. I mean, and you know.
But if I rolled up in that van and said, "Hey, dude, I got bourbon," you'd climb in.
That's the new candy. Yeah.
And that's how Steve got canned nuts, right?
That's the first and last time I went down the Bourbon Trail. I think it was the Bourbon Trail. Looks
I know, it took me
it looked like
somewhere.
Columbus.
There was a lot of stuff.
But yeah, I mean that's really what we want.
Right.
We want to sit down with you. We want to talk to you. We want to get to know you. We want to do something special for you. You tell us what you like. I mean, we have a very broad knowledge of where to go, what to do. Whatever you want to throw in. I mean, it doesn't have to be just bourbon.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you want like a nice city downtown scene. Do you want quaint and cozy and relaxed? You want to go buy your derby hat the same place that the First Lady of Kentucky buys her derby hat?
Yeah.
I can take you there.
It's amazing.
You know, you want to do that? I know the lady who owns the store. You can go there and buy your derby hat too. Or you can just go look around. What do you want to do?
You want to go to the horse farm where there's 2 Triple Crown winners? American Pharoah is walking around in the pasture. You want to see him?
Along with Justify.
Yeah.
Is that by Woodford? Is that
It's
It's
over
going to be
there.
out in Woodford County.
It's all off of that road.
I mean,
by the Bluegrass Parkway and
Yeah.
shit? Yeah.
I mean,
It's out off of that road. It's that
Yeah.
area.
and you just drive up through
It's
there.
beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It was funny because I actually took my daughter. Her name's Ashton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow! Holy shit!
Full circle.
So my daughter Ashton.
And she's got a hell of a palate, so I think we drop her off a tinderbox at 18.
There you go.
There you go.
21.
21
City
in
Columbus.
City
Oh,
Columbus.
21, really?
Yeah.
18 on the
No.
podcast.
So she became my little travel buddy while I was. She had like 3 days off, long weekend or something. She had time off, and it was also right around her 16th birthday.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! So I took her to Kentucky with me while I did business, and we did a distillery tour. And great girl named Marjorie at James E. Pepper there in Lexington in the old historical district, which that itself is just cool, right?
I
But-
love that spot.
but
I don't know if
I
you guys have been there yet.
I have not.
Definitely. a
Never
must
been
see.
there. Tried the whiskey.
Hey,
Interesting.
You can drink beer and throw axes at the same time in this place.
Dustin's place,
Sign me up.
basically.
Sign you up.
Wait. Can I drink bourbon and throw axes?
I don't
No,
think you let you
just
burn
beer.
it,
Oh,
just
then I'm
beer.
not.
But you can drink bourbon and then go have a beer and throw some axes.
Okay.
You gotta sign a
You gotta sign a waiver.
Yeah.
Sign a
There's
waiver.
definitely a waiver.
Yeah.
I had to
So-
sign a waiver to take a picture in their facility.
You
So,
did.
Deal.
So anyway, great girl. She did just a great job on the tour, and really learning a lot about James E. Pepper and actually the influence of his wife in
Yeah.
the distillery.
Yeah.
So she had a great big impact. She actually saved that distillery out of foreclosure
Wow.
because James E. Pepper was quite the flamboyant gentleman.
you like to be lavish.
Very lavish, like to spend lots of money.
I can appreciate that.
Yes,
In those days, I think they would
Ladies seem
refer to
to
him as
level
a
that out,
gentleman of
right?
leisure.
we
Yeah.
tried to.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I
Wine
took my
suits,
daughter.
hat.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
God bless Alicia.
That's true.
So I took Ashton on that tour, and of course we can dip her finger in the sour mash. So she's like, I don't know about that. And they're like, hey, you can do it. And she's like, okay. And she's like, what? I was like, it tastes like. I said, it's okay. It tastes like Frosted Flakes.
That went bad.
So she dips her finger in, tastes it. And she looks around. She looks back at me, at the whole group of people. She's not even shy.
Yeah.
Just that does not taste like Frosted Flakes.
No, you lied. You lied.
But I got her to taste it.
Yeah.
So she does a sour mash.
She didn't hate it.
I'm not a parent, so I mean that's how you do it, right?
Oh, well, I'm a parent of 4 girls.
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
Yeah.
no, you'll love it. You'll
Love
love it.
it.
I swear.
Quick
But-
shout out to
I
Mark
did love
Buskirk,
it.
alone on Main Island for God knows how long now.
With 5 women.
Yeah.
Hey, let's pour one out. Let's pour
They
one
even
out.
neutered the dog. He's got nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Hey, he can go play with his trucks, okay?
There you go.
He's got a shop. They
He's
gave
got
him
it.
that.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.
We'll invite just Mark back, and then we'll just do a podcast with Mark and us, and then get the other side of the story.
Perfect.
What other side?
No, no. I can
No.
definitely
And we're out of
tell.
time.
I can definitely tell the fact of, like I said before, like the passion between of you and Mark and the rest of your crew, whether it be Brittany, Nick, and everyone that you guys are involved with. It's really the camaraderie, and it's really an inspiration for me, because I'm trying to find my way through this world, right? And I'm sure Nick's the same way, where you know, I don't really have the means to do what you and Mark have done. And the things that Steve and I have talked about, you know, late at night or after the podcast this is something that definitely, you know, I would love to just dive into, because this is what I'm passionate about. And to see someone to do that and to bring back the authenticity and bring back all this passion and do something that they love, I think not only on top of the topic of striking while the iron's hot, you're diving into the bourbon business, which is huge right now, right? You're diving into authenticity, which is coming back at full force. And also, you're doing what you love. So it's just immaculate the way that you guys have transformed this. And I, even after the podcast, I have a lot of questions for you. Because whatever I can do or whatever we can do to help this, it's just something that I would love to be a part of. So it's amazing to have you on, and it's really great to hear the stories, and I can only imagine the relationships that Mark, Becca, Nick, Brittany, that you guys have created throughout just over 3 months, whatever it is, less than a year, and have created to blossom into what it is now. So I think that you guys are on something that is untouched, especially in Ohio.
Absolutely.
And something, and something that it's amazing. So
I think we're at the point, like, what closing remarks do you guys want? You know, as far as like between the bourbon, the cigar, and what you guys are doing.
Are we closing already?
Yeah.
Well, that was quick.
2 hours, man. We told you.
that's what happens.
This is how we get into the 3 hour mark.
Yeah. See, everyone that before they come on, they want to like joke about the fact that like how'd they go like 2 hours to 3 hours? It's a conversation.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Go an hour, another hour. But
yeah.
I mean, so like.
But now, before we close, to touch on the strike while the iron is hot topic, something that none of us hit on, that I want to hit on, especially with you talking about your passion. Not much older than you.
Right.
I got 4 or 5 years of wisdom on you.
Right.
I think striking while the iron is hot goes farther than just us striking because bourbon is booming. If this is what you're passionate about, go.
Yeah.
Right. If that passion has been ignited in you, if that fire is hot, go. Chase it. You only get one chance to chase that dream, to chase that passion. Because if you don't, it's gonna die over time. You're not gonna fuel it. You're not gonna feed it. It's gonna leave.
Right.
But if this is really something that you're into, then look into it. And obviously I'm not telling you to quit your job.
Yeah.
None of that.
Thought
But if
about
this
it.
is something that you're super passionate about, then strike while that iron is hot. Find your niche. Find your way in.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, strike while the iron is hot. People, wow, this is happening. No, what's happening within you? What are you doing right now that's hot to you?
Yeah.
Chase that.
Fine.
Pursue that. Strike while that iron is still hot.
Yeah.
Run that dream right now. Don't look back in 5 years and say, oh, I really wish. Strike while that iron is still hot.
Yeah.
I think,
That's actually, you say it's not your closing remarks. That's actually a great closing remark.
Actually, yeah, I think that works.
And you're not saying like, no, I got it. Yeah. Mic drop. Throw your mic on the ground. Yeah. No, that was beautiful. Yeah. That's not just to Jake. That's everyone out there.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's something that you want to do right now, what's stopping you?
We had an episode that was about don't just sit there, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my experience, I joined the Army at 18. I lived in Texas for a long time. I moved back home. Hated it. I packed a bag with 2 t-shirts, 2 pair of pants, and 2 pair of tennis shoes, and I disappeared on a bus back to Texas because I wanted Texas again.
Yeah.
I missed the culture, the hospitality, the everything that was Texas. So I went back, and I did well. I did really well. Mm-hmm. And then I had a niece, and I had another niece, and then family happened. But I didn't have any roots.
Yeah.
So I went. Now I still technically don't have roots, but I feel like Emma would miss me.
Yeah. Those are your roots.
So yeah, I mean, my nieces are my roots.
Yeah.
And then you found Mount Vernon.
And then I found Marysville, because that's where my brother lives.
All right.
And then I met a girl in Marysville that lives in Delaware. And then I met a girl in Delaware that lives in Mount Vernon.
Got it.
So now my girlfriend lives in Delaware, my boss lives in Mount Vernon, and I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It's always a girl.
Always a girl.
Always a girl.
You guys
Always a
blame it on a
girl.
woman.
Yeah,
If you chase it long enough, you can blame it on a woman.
That's right.
Wow. And maybe she didn't do
Holy
anything
shit.
wrong.
Another
Actually, it
t-shirt.
was
T-shirt
probably,
number 2 right there.
We're going to pay you just
probably
for
a
t-shirt.
good thing she did, but you can blame her for it.
There you go. Becca.
Well then. Well, I hope I conveyed well. It's my first podcast.
No, it's
Yes.
Yeah, I
Look
mean,
at me.
totally, like,
Affirmation, absolutely.
first.
Finger right up until
Now you're
that
throwing
point.
things. Now you're throwing things.
You were nailing it until right now.
You fit in perfectly in the garage.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It happened.
4. By the way, that is sharp, so please stop chucking it.
So, anyway, I won't play with that anymore. You go right there.
Perfect.
I don't know. I don't know if I think we hit on, I mean, there's probably tons of things I'll think of later that I should have said, because that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, I would love to share these experiences with people. I mean, I think they're great experiences, any way you want to do them. I know we do only have a 15-passenger van currently, but I also work with a company that we can charter if for some reason somebody wanted to do larger. The reason why we do like the small intimacy of it is back to that personal touch.
Right.
You get too many people, you don't get to know this person, or you don't get to know that person. But this puts you in a situation where you're making friends, you're developing relationships. You're like able to like come back to Columbus and be like, hey, you know, guess when we get some dinner sometime, or get together, or come over, have some bourbon, whatever it may be.
Right.
It's really bringing everything back home. It's bringing it back to where we're talking again. We're leaving our phones on the tables or on the counters. We're not picking them up. Even, one of the things that my marketers suggested to me on my tours is to get people, like during lunch and dinner, put your phones down. Put them in your purse, put them somewhere, and let's all engage and talk. Let's talk about what we just did, what we just tasted, what we just saw.
Right.
And share that with one another. And then you can continue to share it. You're always going to share experiences. I mean, you're always going to talk about whatever you did or where you went. I mean, it's just a great thing. I mean, I love to travel. I love bourbon. I love wine. I go to places like that encompasses those things, but it's also the areas.
Yeah.
It's not all about that. It's about meeting the people. It's about enjoying the landscape and the museums and the different things that travel gives you.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go. And we shouldn't miss even our own backyards. There's so much here, even in Columbus, that has to offer, even with our small craft distillers here.
Yep.
And again, I know I've repeatedly said it, but they're very overlooked. So they have some great bourbons. Yes, they haven't been around for 100 years, or they haven't been around 50 years, or since Prohibition, and they're newer, but they do have some good stuff. I mean, I've tasted some really good 4-year bourbons coming out of our craft distillers.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, just get out, explore, enjoy. Just do
Enjoy.
it. Just enjoy it all. Share it.
Yeah, we had someone on here just chime in. Bezanik William, bourbon is all about the stories, fellowship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't agree with that.
It's amazing.
Statement
1000%.
more.
Yeah.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, I mean, I think with all this, it's an amazing wealth of knowledge and also like that experience. I love what you guys are doing. Jake hit it a lot with the authenticity of the whole thing of bringing it back to that personal relationship is, I think, what you guys are doing really well. And I love that because that's what that industry is all about. That's what you talk about travel. It's not just about the whiskey, but a lot of it is based around that. And there is Jake is one, and if you guys listen back to a lot of podcasts, people they sometimes will look down at like that whiskey or cigars.
Because it's alcohol.
You're the first one to bring that up, and tobacco, yeah. But it's about what that brings, you know what I mean? Because it's not just about drinking. It's not just about smoking. There's a culture behind it. There's a community behind it. There's experiences, life experiences that come from it. And what you were saying, Becca, just now, I love the fact that it's like you want to like follow up with them. It's not just, I mean, listening to you speak about this, yeah, you want your business to succeed, but you want it to succeed because people are enjoying it. One thing that you guys may not have, I know you haven't hit on, is that you go on one of these bourbon tours, you know, you get on that 15-passenger van, you know, you get down there, you guys, you know, you have one person with you or 2 or 3 people from your company, but the likelihood of booking again and bringing new people, you know, you have repeat business is something that is very, very important because of the experience. And literally, you may, like, all right, this time let's hit up these places. You know, you really love this one, great. Let's hit that one again, but we're also going to add, like, because you like that one, may I recommend this, this, and this? You know what I mean? You're actually, like, you're building off of that relationship with the client. And, like, you know, you look at it, like, it's almost like you look at them as friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we want to.
Yeah, which is again, authentic and,
Well,
and is rare.
We want to be your friend, but I want you and John Doe to book a tour at the same time without knowing that you did it. And at the end of that tour, you and John Doe have a lot in common.
Absolutely.
And on my next tour, I see you and John Doe.
Absolutely.
And you're from here, and John's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know, I want people.
But that's what I want to see in the end. Is I want to see tour guests and tour guests become repeat tour guests together
as friends.
Yeah.
Because I've done that. I've gone on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, and I've gone to a distillery, and I've struck up a conversation with a couple in the parking lot, and they followed us 2 hours south into Kentucky and did another distillery with us. Just because we had so much fun sitting next to each other in that tasting.
Well, look at this shit.
Yeah.
Look at this shit. I mean,
we did one barrel select together almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
I would not have known Rolling Barrel Tours if it wasn't been for.
Yeah. I mean, having that relationship, I think that's great. I will comment on this as my main closing remarks is the striking while the iron's hot. I will summarize what I may have said earlier is I love the fact that when you are striking while the iron's hot, when you're looking for something new, I love, Walker, what you said to Jake and everyone out there is that if you have a passion, if you find yourself being, you know, you're gravitated towards something that you have a passion and you want to educate yourself, you want to do that for a living or even as a side business or whatever it might be, is, again, don't just sit there, do something, but go out there and do it. But the biggest thing I'll say is that when I'm looking at that topic, as I said it before, is that you don't necessarily have to be a copycat. In fact, don't be a copycat. And also don't reinvent the wheel. I love the fact that the guests tonight on this show you first and foremost that you can actually see something that you have a passion in, and you see that it's doing really well, that there actually might be some sort of income, some business, something that is worth spending your time more than just a hobby
Or a need for
or
people.
a need. But you're taking it from a different angle because you see an opportunity there, and there's a different opportunity there than just doing what everyone else is doing because it's so popular. It's so, you know, it's easy money right now. It's like, yeah, that's short term. What we're gonna do is take that and we're gonna come in from this angle, and we're gonna like enjoy ourselves. You took your expertise from the trucking side, from the hospitality and the restaurant business. You're taking this personal relationships and you're saying, we have a passion for this over here, and we're becoming experts. Like, you're taking the time to do all that, and now we're going to bring other people into it. That's striking while the iron's hot in a fresher way, and a more, I guess, advantageous, and it almost like it's still a gamble, but it's something that you don't have the competition where you're just going to do what everyone else is doing. And I think that's really a reflection piece for a lot of people doing it, is that don't just do what everyone else is doing because it's popular, whether it be business or anything else. It's like, I see all this stuff. What else is missing? What is the missing piece that I can actually bring more light into these people, into a business, into whatever it is, into your waking hours, and actually have success there?
Yeah. No, I agree completely with Steve, and I appreciate Nick and Becca for being on tonight. And we wish that Mark was here, but we'll get him on again, and we'll get you guys on again. It's been an absolute pleasure to have Rolling Barrel Tours, based out of Mount Vernon, Ohio, to be on the Bourbon and BS podcast. I just have to say that this is one of those topics that I've talked to Steve a lot about, and it's a topic that I'm truly passionate about, and I'll take what you guys have said and try to generate my own kind of niche, really, with what I want to do. And I'm still waiting on the application.
You just had it.
But it sounds like everything is in a mist, and as long as you guys stay true to yourselves and the amazing things that I just think, knowing you two, meeting Becca tonight, I know Nick, and understanding what you guys are about, there's no level of success that you guys could reach. It's uncapped, really.
Yeah, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and I think that if you guys continue to be passionate, authentic, continue to be yourselves, it's unlike any other. And that's the one step that I've missed, that people that want to introduce themselves into this industry, into the cigar industry, any industry that they love, they miss the first step, which is starting it. And you guys have already done that. And the fact that you've done that is immaculate, and it's amazing, and I love hearing it. And I definitely will be in touch soon. And that we absolutely love the fact that Rolling Barrel Tours was on tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Where can our viewers and listeners reach Rolling Barrel Tours?
Right now, while our website's down, you can reach us through social media,
Okay.
either through Facebook or Instagram. And you can also reach out through email, and just email our general email. It's info@rollingbarreltours.com. And then our number in Mount Vernon is 740-507-6788 if you wanted to give us a phone call. We'd love to talk to you.
Share that with us, and we'll repost it and everything else.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
And like Becca said, we are a very face-to-face company. You can shoot me emails, you can call me. I don't know how to give you what you're looking for until we can really sit down and have that moment. Come out to the
Right.
office, we'll drink some bourbon. If you don't want to come to Mount Vernon, we'll meet you
We will
at a
come to
decent
Columbus.
bourbon bar. Where you want to go?
Let me ask you this. I'm going to do it because I know I got a lot of people that are in the shop, and people may be listening because they have combined interests. Will you ever have something, because this is something that, like, around town and all that stuff, in Columbus or other cities, because of laws, because of preferences, could you ever see yourself doing a combined thing where it's like you got, say, 10 cigar guys that are bourbon guys that want to smoke in the 3-hour tour down and everything else? It's something that with related industries, I implore you to, just because of the combined industries, is if you can look into how, is that a possibility, so that I can say to, locker members at my shop or other shops, or just people that are enthusiastic about both, they're like, yeah, we'd love to go down, but we're just going to drive ourselves because we can smoke in our cars. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that I'm not saying necessarily drinking on the way down, because that's always a problem, but with the smoking, there are no necessary laws against it with, transportation, other than from a business side of it, is that would be something that, maybe even just looking into, where you can have, like, say, 5, 10, 15 people, guys and girls, going down there, and it's like, yeah, we'd love to book with you, but can we smoke on your bus?
I think what would have to happen first is, right now we only have the one vehicle.
Absolutely.
And until we could, if we did have a high enough demand for that, and if we invested into a second vehicle that was for our cigar smoking patrons, then that could be a feasible thing later down the road if there was enough interest, and of course if the revenue was there to go into a second vehicle just for smokers. So we'd have to definitely make sure that the market was there and that it was going to be fairly consistent to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
besides
if you
the
guys didn't
damage,
catch that, please subscribe, like, call us, get my
Absolutely.
boss to buy me a cigar bus.
well, my thing is that there's
I love it. Man.
I need a cigar bus.
absolutely
Yes.
there's education there. I will say that one of the things you can do is, between, if you had a cigar tour and then that was used for something else, there are those like ozone machines that you can actually put in there that actually take it all out.
Okay.
Yeah, there are methods. Now, as far as like, waivers or whatever it is, like with ashtrays and everything else, is that as far as like damage to the bus, that's the issue as far as ash and everything else. The smoke smell, there are techniques that you can
That was my thought.
Yeah,
I
literally,
know
like,
we can clean the smoke.
the smoke
I
smell
can't
can
stop
go.
you from sipping your old fashioned and burning my seat.
Absolutely.
And that's my
absolutely. That's the upholstery, that's the everything else and everything.
If
Yeah,
you damage the van, then
You're done.
But I mean, that's something that as a side, like you get, like if you have this cigar bus or whatever, like we have that available. I think there is something there as far as the combined industries.
Well, what we could do is just take one of the semis and go buy an old box van.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we'll just do like
Outfitted.
a fancy, like a NASCAR outfitted trailer.
You gotta look into the laws of transporting people in those types of.
They're just taking Florida Georgia Lines video and then
Yeah.
minus the
making
roller
it a real
skates.
thing.
Yeah, minus the roller skates.
Well, don't roll the don't. Might be a thing.
These are some.
Is this a
substantial
bourbon centric
waivers.
trip?
Substantial waivers.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
Don't hurt yourself.
throw some old sectional couches in there,
Yeah,
flush it
I love
out.
it.
If it was me, you'd have button and
I want a
tuxedo.
mini chandelier in
Plus,
that
you're not
bus.
gonna get much of a view on the way down, though.
That's right.
Well, that's why you got to put plexiglass in there.
Plexiglass.
All right, so we're gonna take care of our sponsors here.
No, it's amazing. Thank you, Tinderbox Decent, for providing the Ashton Robusto,
Yep, VSG.
the VSG Robusto tonight, and thank you, Monte Cristo. We didn't mention this cigar, and it's a great cigar.
It's actually really good.
Platinum Series, medium body race too.
So Platinum Series, yeah, it's a 4-country blend. There's Nicaraguan, Dominican. There's Peruvian tobacco in there.
No Honduran.
There might be. I gotta look it up again. But the biggest thing is that they added Peruvian tobacco. Oh, Mexican. Actually, no Honduran.
That's where the
Mexican
spice is
wrapper.
coming from.
It's Mexican wrapper. Then there's Nicaraguan, Dominican. And there's actually Peruvian tobacco in the filler as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a great band. We just got it. What, 2 weeks ago?
Again.
Week ago.
Again.
Again.
Yeah, we used to carry it. Now we do again. It's part of the special going on this month. We're doing a giveaway at the end of the month at Fido, which is our neighbor, which, Becky, you said you were just at recently.
I was.
Yeah, we're doing an event May 31st, and we're going to be giving away several raffle prizes, including a Wine-A-Door Coolador, that if you buy 4 Monte Cristo cigars, you get 1 free, as well as a raffle ticket. You buy 10 Monte Cristo cigars, you get 3 free cigars, 5 raffle tickets, and so on. And that goes all the way up into the event that night. We also have specials that night for special prices on Old Fashions, and also Manhattans, and also food that night on the patio.
And don't forget the fact that they get 15% off within this next week up until the night that Steve and I work on Tuesday evening of the Ashton VSG.
Mm-hmm.
So come in and get 15% off. And
Mention the podcast.
Mention the podcast, Bourbon and BS podcast. We really appreciate everyone. Thank you, Tinderbox Decent, for providing the Ashton. Thank you, Altadis, for providing the Monte Cristo Platinum Series. Thank you, Brian and Steve, with the BS Cigar brand. Love your guys' stuff.
Becca doesn't want to cheers with an empty glass.
Yeah,
I love
no,
that.
it's amazing because that bottle's almost gone, and I'm glad that we did that.
Perfect.
With
Me
good
too.
friends.
Absolutely.
We had the 4 Roses, small batch barrel select. We appreciate everyone. Happy Whiskey Wednesday, and cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.